Smith from the Busch Light Studios. This is ESPN 95.3. Broadcasting on ESPN Arkansas and streaming on hitthatline.com.
We got a good one tonight. You got a team in here that doesn't respect you.
Live from the Busch Light Studios.
Don't ask me if I'm all right. Joaquin said dominate, and we not doing it.
We're going to go get one and celebrate on somebody else's field.
Matt Jones may take it to the house and the dunk.
Phil said you had very motivational words at halftime.
It's halftime with Phil Olsen and Matt Jones. Produced by Matt Travis.
Hold the rope, hold the rope, hold the rope. I'm putting my heart up. Let's go, man.
Probably as frustrated as I've been the first half.
Do we believe?
Second half, very happy.
Is vintage Matt Jones.
Hold the rope, hold the rope, hold the rope on three. 1, 2, 3. Turn that back, Drew.
Now, here's Phil Olsen and Matt Jones.
Celebrate Fridays, but I feel like celebrating today's maybe a little more than usual. We've had ourselves quite the week.
We have had ourselves quite the week.
Snow.
We had high wind.
High winds. We've had people still without power, even in some cases, Northwest Arkansas, 3 days later. And, yeah, I'm pretty happy that it's a Friday. Yesterday was a long day, really long day. But we're alive. The sun is out. I think almost across the entire state today. And it is great to be with you to wrap up this week before we get into the SEC Big 12 Challenge and a lot of basketball, college basketball specifically, to get to over the next 3 hours. Of course, conference championships on Sunday. Arkansas, Baylor on Saturday, and a women's game on Sunday. Women's team took a tough loss against Alabama yesterday, so all that to get to and more. And, yeah, Friday. Oh, gosh. Do you usually celebrate Fridays big time, Matt? Or is this just sort of, you know, when we have like a 5-day work week now, 2 weeks in a row, it just kind of feels like a Saturday in one way. So like, hold on a moment. We're working on Saturday.
Yeah, we got
Fridays are something to celebrate, though, this week. Feels like it.
Yeah, well, we got spoiled there for a while. Mondays off, Fridays off. Phil, I'm excited to be here. This is Matty T's last full week for a while, so I don't know what I'm going to do next week. But like you said, got some Razorback basketball to talk about and get through, and then – man, Sunday is going to be a fun day. This is what it's all about. The hardest game to win in football is the NFC and AFC championship game. Going to be two battles. I think they'll be two really good games.
Maddie, when do you take the trip? When do you head to NOLA?
Well, we are heading down next Wednesday. We're going to start heading down there, and then Sunday is going to be February 5th is going to be the actual day of the ceremony. But yeah, so Wednesday, about halfway through the show, I'll take off out of here.
Who picked the day?
She picked the day.
She picked the day.
She picked the day, the location, the guy, which is me.
You got the time, I got the money. I like it.
Choosing.
Of all the places she could have picked, I think that's probably the best one that I would have enjoyed.
Y'all are gonna have a good time, man. Great food, yeah.
Oh well, first of all, there's a lot for you to celebrate: each other, your futures. And that you don't have to work.
That's right.
You take some time off and just enjoy yourself.
I figured I was going to take off anyways. I might as well, get married.
I ain't had nothing. It's not like I had anything else better to do.
Gosh, I don't remember the last time I've taken like a week or two and thought, you know what? Maybe the best thing to do right now, since I'm not working, is find somebody to marry. You did that. You already did that though a couple years ago. You found.
Yeah, I already knew her.
You guys have known each other. So could you imagine? That'd be something to do, right? Take a trip down.
I got 1 week. Let's go.
For a week. You're like, all right, this is it. This is where I'm going to find the future, the one time and only misses. Yeah, that would be quite the vacation to do. That would be a different sort of a behind enemy lines for Ty Richardson to try. Why didn't Ty try that this weekend as he's headed down to Baylor to Waco for behind enemy lines for tomorrow's game? Give yourself 24 hours to find the future Mrs. Ty Richardson.
When he was on the show when you were gone, his New Year resolution was to get out of the friend zone I think he was talking about somebody.
Oh, he's already got somebody that's friend zone. That's okay. Good luck.
I remember hearing about that before. Yeah, it's a tough thing. Look, I think that probably has more to do with her than it has to do with you when you're being friend zoned. So I'm not sure if a resolution is going to change that very much.
Yeah, can you ever if you're there, could it ever really change? It is what it is, isn't it?
So how are we feeling about Arkansas Baylor tomorrow? I mean, look, you got it. Sooner or later, you got to have like a win that you would say this is the signature win of the season. I don't think they have one yet. What would be the signature win so far for this season? Would it be San Diego State?
Are they going to make the tournament? That's a team that you thinking. I don't think we have one yet. Like when I look at Arkansas and what they've done this year, those non-conference games they played early in the year, we talked about that. There wasn't anybody on those teams that was going to make the rotation in for the Arkansas team. And you look, oh my goodness. San Diego State, I guess, but I wonder how good they still are, if they're still getting it on. Or
yeah, that's the thing. You got to wonder about how they're doing, as of now. So I could check in a moment.
They're okay. They're 16-4. They should win their league. They got one conference loss to New Mexico.
Well, shouldn't be the signature win.
It's not. We don't have one yet.
So once you get to the end of the season, if that's like the signature win, then you might be in the NIT. You got opportunities at the end of the regular season, right? With that,
you get the SEC tournament. Yeah, we play Bama still. Mississippi. I mean, we got some tough. Texas A&M. I think if we beat Texas A&M on the road, or we get them at home, but these next two games,
Arkansas gets 2 against A&M, Matt. And I don't right now, man. The way they're playing. They just ended Auburn's winning streak inside Neville Arena.
They're playing with the chip. Remember last year they were a hot team getting into the tournament, and they didn't let them in the tournament. I say they didn't let them in the tournament. They didn't earn their way into the tournament, whatever. They had some losses early in the year, so they're not going to – that's just a teaching moment and building. That's all over their locker room. Like, we don't let an opportunity go by you. So they're taking advantage of their opportunities right now.
Well, we're talking so often the last couple of days about, got to get on a run. And that's what everybody says when it comes to the middle and end of January is you got to get on a run that the committee can get a look at. And all that has to do with who you're going to play. And there are no gimmies. There are no gimmies coming up. I mean, when the season started, you might have looked at this stretch after the Baylor game, because going in to this season that playing at Baylor is going to be difficult no matter what. But I mean, I think you were looking at A&M and look, you get A&M twice over the course of a little more than 2 weeks. 2-0, right? A&M. Get out, go to South Carolina. South Carolina, not really very good, but you know what? Arkansas has not won a road game yet, so there's no gimme in that. You're going to Kentucky. Kentucky started to find themselves. What if Kentucky beats Kansas tomorrow and keeps rolling, and you're going into Rupp with them like on a 6-game winning streak or something? Like, there's no gimme. Mississippi State at home, I mean, maybe right now, like, that's the one game I'd look at and say, you know what? I feel really good about the thought that Arkansas is going to win that game. But that's in like 12 days. There's nothing. Look, I'm not saying it's a team that can't go on a run. I think they've played very well these past 3 games. But there's just not a win right now that I feel you can hang your hat on to say
not on the road.
Not on the road, but also depending on the opponent that you're playing. And it's like Ole Miss, LSU. Those are 2 teams that you have to beat them. You have to beat them. You probably should have beaten LSU in the conference opener
and giving up 63 to Vanderbilt in the second half. I mean, that's about as low as it gets. You look at who we got, Phil, and if there was a Bet Saracen deal, I would say Arkansas can win all their home games. The way we play in Bud, you got no ranked teams that you're going to be playing at home. Although A&M's going to be tough. Kentucky's always tough. Florida be tough. I mean, like you said, they're going to be some tough games. But I could see the Hogs holding court, holding serve at home. And where is this road game? Number 4 Tennessee, number 2 Alabama.
That's a problem. End of the season, that schedule for the last 3 games, that's a problem. It is.
We got to figure it out.
That'll help determine the seeding in the SEC tournament. I mean, even outside of that, if you want to get on a run, do it now, because those last 3 games. Like at Alabama, at Tennessee, then home against Kentucky. Winning 2 of those games will be tough. Maybe by then they are rolling. Maybe by then they are rolling. And maybe by then Nick Smith Jr. is playing for Arkansas. And he's started to, maybe get into the groove without really playing very much up until whenever he does get on the court.
It's such a tricky situation. I think Coach Muss has handled it pretty well, but it is tricky. The fact that he is, what if he's healthy? Why all of a sudden now the sore knee's healthy in a week? I just don't understand it all. Nick Smith is a top 10 pick if he plays or not. It's you kind of got to go to war with your brothers, the ones that are there, and if he comes back, you put your arms around him and you say, let's go battle. But it takes it's going to take minimum 4 to 5 games to get back in shape. To get going with the flow of everything, get your legs underneath you. I don't care how much running you do and how much shooting you're doing. And he's still a baby. But he is the best player. So it's always easier when you're bringing in the best player back to your team.
So we're told on the text line, 1 game at a time. It's no big deal. All of that kind of stuff. Look, that's the way the team needs to look at it. I don't think this is that's a coach talking to players. Radio sports talk shows, hey, we're going to look ahead. We're going to look ahead because that's what's coming up. What's coming up for the team, for this team, is Baylor tomorrow. They don't have to worry about A&M next week. They don't have to worry about traveling to South Carolina next week. That's our job. And that's the coach's jobs too. But it's also Muss and Arginal and the rest of their jobs to just keep this team focused on what's going on tomorrow. Well, and first things first, they got to get there, and they'll be getting there sometime pretty soon. I understand the idea of 1 game at a time and opportunities, not a problem. That's coach speak talking to his players, and it's understandable if you want to look at it from that perspective. But we're looking ahead here and saying there are no guarantees of what you've got in the near term and certainly in the late term, that being the end of February. We're so used to Arkansas getting on a run these past couple of years at this time because they've done it. This is a different team. It's a different makeup, and there's no guarantee it's going to happen. And I think the schedule that you're looking at right here, you got to be realistic about it. It is a little bit tougher, I think, than people were making it out to be even a week ago. So on halftime today, it's a busy Friday. We'll get into the conference championships quite a bit. Of course, Bet Saracen has the odds on their app and on BetSaracen.com. Neil Atkinson, one of the odds makers for Bet Saracen, will join us hour number 3. It's pretty, no surprise, but it was interesting to see how much the line moved towards Kansas City once Patrick Mahomes announced that he would play. I just don't know how quite healthy he is, but he's going to play, and that seemed to move a lot of money towards Kansas City.
Do you, and we can get into it, and because I had one of the coaches, and we won't get into all that, but do you, as a defensive coordinator, and you saw this with Brett Favre years ago, do you tell your players, man, in the first quarter, if you get a chance to hit Patrick Mahomes, you take that 15-yard penalty, you go and get him, because you know if you get him out, you're probably going to win the game. But and I know defenses like that, man. They'll put bounties up on the board. You take Mahomes out, everybody throws $10,000 in or a grand. I mean, it's serious. I mean, don't think they're not trying, man. Those defensive guys are animals, man. They will go out there to hurt you, and they know that if they do that, they take that 15-yard penalty, Mahomes is out of the game. Easy dub.
And things change. That's right. Let me clutch my pearls for a quick moment here about the idea of thinking of intentionally injuring a quarterback, because that would most definitely swing the odds into the favor of the Cincinnati Bengals.
I even thought when the backup came in for Mahomes and the one guy hit him a little late, I thought, man, if you take out the backup too, no team has a third-string quarterback. You know, you go out there and take a 15-yard penalty and take him out. Ooh.
Well, it'll be really fun football to watch if I can even get my eyes on those games on Sunday, because we got a 4 o'clock women's basketball game. So we'll see how much I'll be able to watch. Hour number 2, we'll dig into Arkansas baseball with Andrew Ellis from hogsports.com, part of the 24/7 Sports Network. He's been covering Arkansas baseball the last couple of years, and is putting out some good content right now about the makeup of the team with 21 days before the start of the college baseball season. But in just a moment, we are joined by the one and only Aaron Torres from Fox Sports Radio and the Aaron Torres Sports Podcast. That's next on Halftime.
The Morning Rush with Ty Richardson, Tommy Kraft, and Chuck Barrett.
We were going across the bridge at Texarkana where he was down there doing some oil and gas work. When I was a young one, I got car sick really bad. Dad, I'm not feeling good. You need to pull over. And I was leaning over the seat. He said, son, let me get across this bridge. Didn't make it. Right down the collar of his shirt.
Don't miss The Morning Rush. Weekdays from 6 till 9. Only on ESPN 95.3 and hitthatline.com.
The biggest and best selection of brand new Fords, both 22s and some arriving 23s, is at Harry Robinson's Salisal Ford, 1 mile south of exit 308 off of I-40 in Salisal. Hey, these 22s, you're going to move them out. You got extra rebates and great financing.
Yes, we have got to get these 22s out of here. We got to make room for the 23s that are coming in. They're arriving daily. We've got thousands of dollars in rebates right now, and combined with our dealer discounts on new vehicles, whatever the rebate is on that new vehicle, Harry Robinson is going to match that in a discount. So if it's got a $3,000 rebate, let's talk about $6,000 off of the price of one of these new vehicles. So come down here and see us. This is where you want to buy your new car.
And financing through Ford will save you thousands of dollars right now.
Oh, yes. Everybody's saying don't buy because interest rates are too high. Ford is still offering as low as 0.9% financing on new vehicles. So come and see us.
Harry Robinson, Salisal Ford, the place for a brand new Ford, 1 mile south of exit 308 off of I-40 in Salisal.
Make today more interesting with Betly's online sports betting action. You can bet on pro and college games with Betly, the only online sports book in Arkansas and Tennessee. And right now, every new customer can cash in on a $250 risk-free first bet. Download the Betly Sportsbook app now in the Apple and Google Play Store or visit Betly.com. With Betly, every game matters. Must be 21 or older and located in Arkansas or Tennessee to bet. Play responsibly. For help quitting, call 800-522-4700.
The cold and flu seasons are here, and Law's Drug Store has what you need to safely care for you and your family. Law's Drug Store can fill and refill your prescriptions, and they have all the over-the-counter cold and flu remedies to provide comfort. Call 452-6116 and ask about vaccine shot appointments for shingles, pneumonia, COVID, and whooping cough. Law's Drug Store, 6802 Rogers Avenue behind Outback Steakhouse. Law's Drug Store, open 6 days a week to safely care for you and your family.
Let me grab my car keys and we'll roll.
We still going to that new bar downtown?
Yeah, it's supposed to be fun. Lexi, give me driving directions from home to downtown Bar District.
Autocorrect. Suggest Uber. Pick up, home. Drop off downtown Bar District.
No, I'm driving.
Suggest the Metro bus. Departing in 12 minutes.
Huh. Point taken, Lexi. We'll grab a ride.
If you drink, don't drive. Decide to ride. Brought to you in partnership by Anheuser-Busch, Mothers Against Drunk Driving, and Uber.
Gelco Outdoors at 4600 South Zero in Fort Smith has the gear for nasty winter weather. Warm boots, insulated clothing, warm socks and gloves, insulated underwear, hand warmers, and all the gear for the kids, moms, and dads. Don't let that nasty winter weather slow you down. Go to Gelco Outdoors, your locally owned outdoor store for all your winter weather gear. Gelco Outdoors, 4600 South Zero in Fort Smith.
At Crane Used Cars on 71 South, it's a new year, and Joe Pulliam, dealer-operator, has bigger and better deals for 2023. Like up to $2,023 more for your trade. That's right, up to $2,023 over Black Book. With a great selection of certified pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs, all backed by the Crane Commitment. 100-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. Joe knows customer service with a 5-star rated service before and after the sale. So come see Joe at the Crane Used Car Supercenter, 8200 Highway 71 South, Fort Smith.
Your home for every Razorback football, basketball, and baseball game. ESPN 95.3.
Hey, yeah. Clear enough for you? All right. Yeah.
Why look mad? Y'all supposed to be happy on screen. Y'all look like y'all wanted me to stay in jail. Oh, busters. Picture me rolling in my 500 Benz. I got no love for these. There's no need to be friends. They got me under surveillance. I swear somebody can tell it. No, there's no being sold. But I ain't the one telling. Don't wanna be another number. I got a bumper gang of weed to keep them going under. The federalists wanna see me dead. Just put prices on my head. Now I got 2 rock dollars by my bed. I feed them lead. Now I'm released. How will I live? Well, God forgive me for all the dirt I'm dead. To feed kids, one life to live. It's so hard to be positive when you're shooting at your crib. Mama, I'm still thugging. The world is a war zone. My homies is inmates, and most of them dead grown. Full grown, finally you're mad. So scheming on ways to put some greed inside the palms of my empty hands. Just picture me rolling, flossing the beans on rims that isn't stolen. My dreams are sensing, my hopes are born. I'm like a fiend that finally sees on the dope is gone. My nerves is wrecked, heart beating in my head is swollen. Thinking of the G's I'll be holding. Picture me rolling.
Make sure to follow Halftime on Twitter at HitThatLineAR and on Facebook and Instagram at HitThatLine. Now back to Halftime with Phil Elson and Matt Jones.
Our man Aaron Torres is with us here on a Friday morning. It's a little bit earlier where he lives out there in Los Angeles. I was in Vegas the other day when you and I were on the phone. AT, what's going on? Are you in Vegas or are you back in Los Angeles?
I am back in LA. It was a quick trip. I know everyone has, great thoughts of what goes on in Vegas. This was for work. I was out there for a day. Didn't do anything too crazy. Maybe lost a couple bucks at the roulette table. But other than that, I was mostly responsible. Had to get up early. I think you and I spoke Tuesday night during the Hogs LSU game. And then Wednesday morning, I had to do some work stuff. Came back Wednesday night. And I have been back in LA since. But it's great to talk to you guys. How's everybody doing today?
Doing really well. I seem to be reminded something about a phrase or something involving things that Vegas likes to give out, but I think I'll get into that later on.
Just don't catch the early plane home.
That's true. Right. Big weekend of college basketball here, AT, and we get the final SEC Big 12 Challenge of all time, moving over to SEC, ACC next year. This could get upside down for the SEC when you look at some of the matchups, and I guess it just has more to do with the idea that the Big 12 is deep. They're really, really good, and some of the matchups don't look very good for the SEC. There are a couple that you like. I like Alabama taking on Oklahoma. Tennessee, Texas, probably the best game of the weekend. Kentucky, Kansas, a good one. What matchups stand out for you, and how do you see that this challenge could lean? I think it's going to go in the Big 12's direction.
Big 12 is a really good conference, and I think there are years where the Big 12 is a little bit overrated. I don't think this is the year that's the case. I think everybody's legitimately good. I think those top 3 or 4, it's not the order that we thought. Obviously, Baylor as the team Arkansas has drawn. Kansas, Kentucky is going to be a great game, but Iowa State's a really good team. Kansas State, even though they have a first-year head coach and mostly a new roster, is a really good team. So, like you said, Bill, obviously the matchups with hindsight, it was hard to know, how to slot everybody and stuff like that. But I do think a lot of them do favor the Big 12. Obviously, 2 of the 3 most high-profile games, I would include Arkansas and Baylor in that one. They are at least on SEC home courts, which, as you said, Texas at Tennessee and Kansas at Kentucky. So a lot of really interesting matchups. Just really quick, and we can get into whichever ones you want. Really curious to see how Tennessee handles Texas. Tennessee really, they've done a good job of beating those mid to bottom tier SEC teams, but I looked at their schedule coming up. They still have 2 games against Auburn. They still have Arkansas, obviously, a game at Kentucky, at Alabama at home. So most of their big SEC games are ahead. And then obviously the other one outside of Arkansas, Baylor, Kentucky on a 4-game losing streak, or on a 4-game winning streak, Kansas on a 3-game losing streak, something none of us, myself certainly included, could have predicted literally 2 weeks ago. So those are 2 that I'm intrigued by outside of obviously Baylor and Arkansas. And like I said, if you want to hit on any specific, just let me know which ones you guys are excited to talk about.
Well, you got Chris Bird not at not at Texas. And Ricky Barnes. I want to ask you. He kind of reminds me of the football version of Mark Richt. Like, has he underachieved? like should he not have won a national title or been in more Final Fours? Because I'm a Ricky Barnes. I mean, I'm a Coach Barnes fan and I'm a Coach Richt fan too. But neither one of them has really been able to excel and win that national title.
So great point, Matt. Two things. One. I think there's something about the personality too. You talk to people that know Mark Richt. I don't know him personally, and they say he's a better man than he ever was a football coach. And that's really the reputation Rick Barnes has. I mean, I think Rick Barnes and I was going to say, Phil, you've been around this league forever, but I think he's the one coach. Listen, Coach Musk certainly has his detractors across the league. John Calipari certainly has people that do not like him. Bruce Pearl, I would say the same. I think everybody has kind of a respect for Rick Barnes as a human being, and obviously his success as a basketball coach. But Matt, I'll take that a point further, and I think it's such a good point. Is I was on in Knoxville earlier this week, and I think this is the first year where it's kind of for Coach Barnes, show me something when it matters, right? Is that he took over a really bad situation when he got there. I think it was year 3 they won the SEC regular season. Last year they won the SEC tournament. And they obviously have one Sweet 16, no Elite Eight, nothing beyond a Sweet 16 to show for it. And so it's the weird thing in Knoxville right now of they want to enjoy this season. They want to enjoy a team that's obviously in the top 10. But I think two things. One, as I said, their schedule is going to get tougher going forward. Most of their big SEC games are still ahead. And two, to your point, Matt, it's like, you got to show me something when it matters. And it was fun watching the rebuild, and it was fun winning the SEC regular season when none of us expected it. It was fun getting hot in the SEC tournament last year. But now we have most of last year's SEC tournament team back, and it's time to show me something in March. So it's a weird thing there right now. I get the sense of they're excited, but there's kind of that feel of the other shoe potentially dropping.
What do you make of the team Arkansas plays tomorrow at the Farrell Center, Baylor? They're good. They're not quite. They don't seem to be as good as a national championship like they had a couple of years ago, maybe even last year. But I know they can fill the cup. They got 3 3-point shooters with accuracy, and they can really get up and down the floor. And I mean, it's a road game for Arkansas, and AT they haven't won a road game yet, and this one might be. Honestly, this might be the toughest place that they're going into play so far, outside of maybe Auburn, and then I'll get into something about Auburn's home winning streak coming to an end in just a moment.
I think everything you said is 1,000% accurate, Phil. The thing that stands out to me about Baylor is, one, as you said, the 3 guards, and I think what more than that stands out is that they're all finally healthy. Is that LJ Cryer, for people who don't know a ton about Baylor, this was a guy that literally. I think he averaged like 37 points a game or something as a high school senior. But year one, he's playing on that national championship team behind Jared Butler, Maceo Teague, all those guys, Davion Mitchell. Last year was supposed to be his breakout year, had season-ending surgery, was never the same. And I think just now he is starting to return to the player that he was 3-4 years ago, the last time that he was at full strength. So this was a guy that had a great game against Kansas the other night. And then you add him in with Adam Flagler. You add him in with Keontae George, who statistically is probably their best player. I think he's a little up and down, just like most freshman guards are. This is a really, really dangerous team. And I think, not only are they quite literally playing their best basketball on a 5-game win streak coming into to this weekend, I think they're also starting to take shape of the team that they thought they were going to have. Really, not only even just this year, but last year as well. Like I said, they dealt with a lot of injuries last year. Cryer had season-ending surgery, and it took a while to get in their groove. But not only are you going on the road, Phil, they're playing their best basketball right now, and it's going to be a real challenge for Arkansas. It really is.
Well, they're a team that's had some. It's been an up and down season so far, really, and certainly in the SEC, it's been a little bit more down than it has been up. Auburn. They had that winning streak at home snapped by A&M. What is going on with the Aggies right now? Is it all Tyrese Radford, or who else is stepping up for them? And is this right now the biggest surprise in the Southeastern Conference, or is there another team that you can point to?
Well, two things. Is one, I do think it's a lot of Tyrese Radford. And I tweeted this the other night, but if you go back to last year, late in the season, they obviously get hot. And then they go to the SEC tournament where they win 3 games and are playing for an SEC title. Obviously, Arkansas fans know that well because obviously they lost in the semis to A&M. And it really, when they took off last year, it was with Tyrese Radford playing his best basketball. And it seems like he has played his best basketball, over the last couple weeks this year, and it seems to correlate as well. Surprise, though, is a weird word for them because I don't know how to describe what's going on. This was a team that, as I said, they make a run in the SEC tournament last year. They're the first team left out of the NCAA tournament, or I think they were the first team, if not second, third, whatever. I always joke, Greg Sankey is ready to blow up the NCAA tournament because Texas A&M got left out last year. Greg Sankey's arguing that we got to expand this thing, and A&M is kind of the talking point that he uses to make his argument. And so they came in with real expectations this year, and they haven't lived up to it. And so I guess the surprise to me was more earlier in the year, and this now looks like the team that I was expecting. But I think the thing for A&M is, and I think they will, is can they keep it up as league play gets a little bit tougher? They're another team. Obviously, they played at Kentucky last week, but they still have a lot of games, a lot of really tough games left on their schedule. So I'm curious to see. But I think the team that we're seeing right now is probably a little bit closer to the one that I was expecting, certainly more so than the one that was losing to Murray State and a couple other schools early in the season when they looked like they were completely lost.
Yeah, that Big 12, Kansas usually runs the show, and they did for years there. They go to Kentucky, and I'm kind of a Kansas. I've seen Kansas State play this year, and I like how they play. But that Kansas-Kentucky team, with Kentucky struggling a little bit earlier, which one of these two teams, out of these two teams, do you have going farther when it comes to March Madness?
My only thought is that Bill Self always figures it out. And there have been years, maybe not quite like this. I think this is only his second 3-game losing streak of his career. But there have been years where Kansas starts 1-2 in the Big 12, 2-3, 2-4, whatever. And Bill Self always figures it out. But I do think this team kind of has fundamental flaws. And not only do they have fundamental flaws, like they have flaws that actually Kentucky can expose. Kansas historically has had always a really good low post player. Last year on the championship team, there was a kid named David McCormick. Udoka Azubuike was a first-round pick. They had the Morris twins who are still playing in the NBA. And this year they really don't have that guy that they can just dump down the ball to get a basket. And so in theory, Oscar Tshiebwe should have a ton of success tomorrow. And in theory, that's a game that, especially at home, Kentucky should win. But again, I trust Bill Self to figure it out. I think he's the best coach in college basketball right now, and that track record speaks for itself. So this, to me, feels like one. I think they're going to scrape enough wins together to get a respectable seed, maybe not win the regular season the way that they have so many times in the past. But if you're talking about a team that right now has more upside come March, and it sounds crazy because, oh, by the way, right now I think they're like one of the last 4 teams in the field, according to Joe Lunardi. It might actually be that Kentucky team that all of a sudden has seemingly figured things out. They were obviously on a 4-game win streak, won at Tennessee, beat A&M at home. But again, they really, I'll say this actually really quick on Kentucky. That's kind of an important game for them tomorrow. They really don't have an out-of-conference resume to speak of. Their best win is against Michigan, who probably isn't going to make the NCAA tournament. So that was a long-winded way of me saying that. I trust Kansas to somehow figure it out. But I think people don't realize this is actually a very important game for Kentucky, and it's a game that they frankly should win.
Well, 4 wins in a row for Kentucky since – now, we didn't get a chance to talk with you last week, AT, but the week before we were discussing how it was the end of the Calipari era with the home loss to South Carolina and a bad South Carolina team. But lineup changes have made a very big difference for Kentucky right now. Tshiebwe continues to play well. But, Severe Wheeler, we expected he was going to be like a big-time star at Kentucky, and he's got some really good aspects to his game. But him not starting seems to be one of the things that has gotten Kentucky to where they are for these last 4 games.
Zero doubt, Phil. And it's tough because, is that you never want to place blame on one specific person. But, he's a player, listen, he's a 4th-year college guard. The things that he does really well, he's a very good passer, but he's very small. He's a defensive liability. He turns the ball over a lot. I mean, he started his career at Georgia under Tom Crean. And it was funny. I went back and looked at something I wrote at the time when he transferred to Kentucky, and I said something to the effect of, he can be a really good guard for you, but he shouldn't be your best guard, or something like that. It wasn't a knock. It was just who he is. And so what has ended up happening is a few things. Is, he played pretty well last year. And keep in mind, too, with Kentucky, they had the number one high school player in America committed to them, Shaedon Sharp, and he was able to finagle his way into the draft last year. He was supposed to be a freshman at Kentucky this year, and I don't think John Calipari ever saw Severe Wheeler as a 2-year starter in his program when he got the commitment 2 years ago. And so that's all a long-winded way of me saying 2 weeks ago, that Tennessee game, that turnaround Kentucky season, or at least it appears right now that it did, Severe Wheeler's hurt, and the fan base had been clamoring. He shouldn't be the starter. Bring him off the bench. He's a role player. He's not a starter. And Tennessee had success, and that was kind of the window that John Calipari needed to put in the lineup that I think even he wanted to play, but certainly the fan base wanted as well. Now they're on a 4-game win streak, and I would just wrap really quick by saying I give credit to Calipari and to Severe Wheeler. Wheeler seems to be taking the benching in stride, but Cal got him some big minutes late in the game last Tuesday against Vanderbilt. I think that was his way of telling the kid, listen, at some point we're going to need you. You might not be in the role we expected in the preseason, but we trust you. We believe in you. And now we see if that can continue tomorrow against Kansas.
Thanks, AT. We'll leave it there. Appreciate you. Let's do it again next Friday. Have a great week.
All right, fellas. Have a great weekend. Thank you both. Have a great afternoon.
Thanks,
Aaron Torres from the Aaron Torres Sports Podcast. You can follow him on Twitter at Aaron_Torres.
He brings it, doesn't he?
He always does.
I like AT.
I got to go for a minute. I got an Uber Eats driver that just walked inside my house here. What are you doing here, man? Maybe he brought me CJ's Butcher Boy Burgers. Nah, he didn't. If he did, I wouldn't kick him out of the house. CJ's Butcher Boy Burgers are the best burgers, fries, and shakes anywhere in the state of Arkansas. 2 locations, Russellville at the Arkansas Avenue exit, right off the interstate, and Fayetteville, the Weddington exit. It's just less than a mile to the west off Weddington. It's the best burgers, fries, and shakes anywhere in the state of Arkansas. When all you do are burgers, they have to be the best, and CJ's Butcher Boy Burgers are the best. Open segment 877-377-6963 for halftime.
Wheels RV wants you to seek out all the natural state has to offer this year. Explore Arkansas in a new RV from Grand Design, Forest River, KZ, Heartland, Keystone, or Alliance. All the best brands at the best prices. Enjoy peace of mind with our lifetime warranty on every new RV and a mobile service shuttle to keep you camping. So come on in and discover why Wheels was voted the best RV dealership in Northwest Arkansas. Wheels RV, 5 miles west of exit 72 off of I-49 in Springdale. Seek, explore, discover with Wheels RV.
Home is everything. It's your sanctuary, your command center, your music room, and your art studio. It's where you eat family dinners and make lasting memories. When you use a Weichert agent to help you find your home, we'll help you find the space to make it yours. When you begin your search, know that a Weichert agent will be there with you every step of the way. Because at Weichert Realtors, we guide you home. To get started, call your local Weichert agent and look for our bright yellow signs all over town. At Weichert Realtors, we sell more because we do more. Each Weichert franchised office is independently owned and operated.
Jimmy the Freak checking in at Randall Ford, 5500 Rogers Avenue in Fort Smith. You know, a lot of times I get to talking really fast on these commercials, but it's just because I'm so excited. Come see me if you're in the market for a new or a pre-owned vehicle. I've been selling here since, last March, and I want to earn your business. You know, this is a family-owned and operated dealership, 4th generation. My dad sold cars here, and now I'm out here serving the public and making sure that you get the best deal that you can get from a dealership that has been here for 115 years. Come see me. I'm at Randall Ford, 5500 Rogers Avenue in Fort Smith. If you're looking for pre-owned Mustangs, if you're looking for new Mustangs, Mach 1s, GT Premiums, we have them. If you're looking for 3/4 ton, 1 ton F-150, F-250, F-350 trucks, we have them. They're in stock and ready to go home with you today. Come see Jimmy the Freak at 5500 Rogers Avenue in Fort Smith at Randall Ford.
Watch every Hog game this season at Joe's Grill and Cantina, your home for half-price apps and taps during every Hog game. With TVs all around the restaurant, you'll have a front row seat for all the action. Half-price appetizers like Joe's Sampler Platter, Ballpark Nachos, 10-layer dip, brisket nachos, and Mexican pizza. And ask about Joe's tailgate packages to make your football experience even better in the comfort of your home. Half-price apps and taps for every Hog game at Joe's Grill and Cantina, 3400 South 74th Street, across from Harps.
With over 40 years combined experience, the team at the law offices of Craig L. Cook understand the definition of work. Real work. Working for you. Whether you've been injured in an auto accident, on the job, a victim of nursing home negligence, or need help navigating bankruptcy, Social Security, wills, trusts, estates, or family law issues, Craig Cook will go to work for you. Call us today, 479-783-8000. The law offices of Craig L. Cook, with locations in Arkansas and Oklahoma. We work for working people.
Do you need help with your next project? Metters Lumber True Value is here to help. A family-owned business since 1936, the staff has more than 90 years of experience in construction and the hardware business. If they don't have what you need, they know how to get it, and they are more than happy to accommodate your special order. So whether it's building a new deck, a paint project around the house, or needing a new set of tools, Metters Lumber True Value has everything you need. With locations in Alma, Ozark, and Clarksville, and you can shop online at metterslumber.com. Metters Lumber True Value.
Gray Steel Structures Incorporated is a family-owned business based in Greenwood specializing in steel structures. Owner Will Gray has 20 years experience doing the job right and making sure you're satisfied with the structure you have a need for. Gray Steel Structures serves both commercial and residential customers. Whatever your need may be, mini storage, RV storage, home workshop, or any metal building need, make Gray Steel Structures your first call. Gray Steel Structures, 252-2783. That's 252-2783.
GraySteelStructuresInc.com. That's Gray with an A.
Your home for every Razorback football, basketball, and baseball game. ESPN 95.3.
Find Halftime on 99.5 in Northwest Arkansas, 95.3 in Fort Smith and the River Valley, 96.3 in Hot Springs and Central Arkansas, 104.3 in Harrison and Mountain Home, and everywhere on hitthatline.com. Now back to the hosts. Here's Phil Elson and Matt Jones.
I think Billy will go down in history as one of the greatest analysts in the history of sports television. I think that when you start looking at the pantheon of great analysts, you've got John Madden and you got Billy Packer, and you start right there. He blessed this network for a long time, from 1982 until he retired in 2008. One of my dearest friends. It's been a restless night thinking of the family, the Packer family, which I'm very close to. I got to speak to Billy the day before he died and tell him I loved him. And I don't know, he was a genius. I mean, there was no one who could just look at the field, in this case, look at the court and see everything. And he's going to be very much missed, but he loved college basketball, and he looked after it as a guardian of his sport. And he's just a giant, and a giant heart. That's all I can tell you. As a husband looking after Barb, his wife, who had health concerns and issues the last 15, 20 years of her life, that was, he said, his greatest fulfillment was looking after her. An incredible father, grandfather, and friend.
As Jim Nantz on CBS this morning, talking about his good friend and legendary basketball color analyst Billy Packer, who passed away yesterday. 34 straight Final Fours. Think about that. I don't know anybody that has been the analyst or play-by-play broadcaster for, the biggest event in the sport for 34 years. I'm sure there's some out there. Think of the Masters on CBS and things like that, and the World Series on Fox. But 34 straight years from 1974 through 2008, his name was synonymous with the Final Four, and was part of all the great moments in those Final Fours. When you think about the Magic versus Bird, NC State with the big upset, Villanova over Georgetown, Arkansas.
Scotty Thurman shot, yeah.
That's exactly right. And speaking of that, here was Billy Packer on that very, very call that Matt's just mentioning.
Jim, here is the play of the game. Lang going out on Thurman. Scotty goes up. Realizes Lang a great shot blocker. Look at the arch on that, and there's the 0, and right down through the hoop. Sensational play as a great jump shooter altered his shot above the defender.
One thing that stood out to me about Billy Packer, and I feel the same way about Jim Nantz, they come across as human beings first and foremost, who are attached to the sports that they're calling. That's one reason why people love Nantz on the Masters, because he sounds like he is firmly emotionally attached to the event, but not in a way of being robotic about it. He comes across with this idea of love for the event, respect for the viewer, and respect for the people that are involved in it. I think Billy Packer was exactly the same way, but that emotion sometimes with Packer, especially Matt, oh man, on those on the selection shows, he could get
fired up.
Man, he got into the committee chairs a few times about this team being left out, that team being left out. Because he was a player, too. Yeah. He was a Final Four participant with Wake Forest one season.
Well, the thing that I noticed about Nantz, and I guess Billy as well, is they seemed like one of us. They didn't seem like they were better than the listener. They didn't seem to talk down to you. They seemed to keep it simple and tell you what they saw. And to me, that's the best way always when you're hearing somebody describe a game.
And took the love of basketball from his dad, passed it all the way down through his family, and really through the rest of us as well. It's been a long time since he called the Final Four, but still, there's no one person more associated with the Final Four as far as the telecasts are concerned than Billy Packer. And think about how that tournament has grown and changed since he even started it. It's become understood that it's the most perfect event or postseason event in all of sports.
It really is.
And he's a reason why, because of how we watch the game.
I was going to say, Phil, I remember growing up in Arkansas, whether it be in Van Buren, and I guess that would have been it, in Van Buren and Fort Smith. But when March Madness got here, there were certain teachers that they had that game on in class. Whatever it was that Friday when Arkansas, if they were playing at 9:30 or if they were playing at 1:30, whatever class you were in, you were going to get to watch it. It was March Madness it's a big deal around here, and it is, I think, just for the fans. It's and we talked last weekend about how I really loved NFL playoffs, the divisional round, and there's some great games. But opening weekend of March Madness, those 4 days you get, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it doesn't get much better than that if you're a sports fan.
877-377-6963 to get on halftime. We're going to wrap up hour number 1 after this quick break.
Craft for the Fitzman. If you've always wanted powered automatic gates at your home or business, but you didn't know who to call, let me tell you about the Fitzman. 479-782-3936. The Fitzman does it all. Custom wrought iron installations, automatic gates, even controlled access systems, and lots more. Ask about 18-month, same as cash financing with approved credit. For your custom fence and gate needs, call the Fitzman. 479-782-3936. The Fitzman. He ain't afraid of no work.
Peace of mind in buying a quality and well-maintained vehicle is top priority at Carco Auto Sales. Carco Auto Sales has been serving the River Valley and eastern Oklahoma for over 40 years and offers a variety of late model, low mileage vehicles at unbeatable values. Come see the team at 2810 Midland Boulevard today or give them a call at 783-1722. You can check them out online at buyfromcarco.com. Carco Auto Sales. When you're ready.
Art's Barbecue and Burgers has the best burger in town. And every Saturday, enjoy any burger at Art's and get $1 off. Try Art's Bacon Cheeseburger, topped with house-smoked bacon, or the Art Attack with bacon, ham, and a fried egg. And all of Art's burgers come with a mound of fresh-cut fries, or upgrade to Art's homemade onion rings. $1 off all burgers every Saturday at Art's Barbecue and Burgers, 8203 Rogers Avenue, next to Aaron's in Fort Smith.
Get the best value, service, and TV locally with personal service from WOW World of Wireless, your neighborhood professional Dish authorized retailer. Stop in and ask us about the Hopper 3, Dish's most advanced DVR that delivers a premium viewing experience. Tired of running out of DVR space? With the Hopper 3, you can record up to 2,000 hours of your favorite programming and watch your very own favorite channels and DVR recordings anywhere you go on your phone or tablet. Call now. WOW World of Wireless. 877-305-DISH. That's 877-305-3474 for more details. Or online at shopwownow.com. World of Wireless is located at 601 Church Street in Barling, next to Frank Rowe Furniture. That's 601 Church Street in Barling. Come see us at our new location.
Monthly equipment fees and other restrictions apply. Recording hours vary. 2,000 hours based on SD programming. Remote viewing requires internet connection and compatible mobile device.
Are you a qualified CDL driver with local or over-the-road experience? Tired of driving older equipment, not having enough home time, feel like a number? You need Patriot Transport. Patriot Transport, based in Centerville, with locations in Russellville and Van Buren, provides you with late model equipment, has a family atmosphere, and provides you the opportunity to make $95,000 per year. Patriot Transport works with you to get the miles you want and the family time you need. Change your life today. Visit patriottransport.com to apply. That's patriottransport.com.
Needing your roof repaired? Ramos Roofing is a local company that has over 25 years of experience specializing in your residential or commercial roofing needs in the Oklahoma area. Ramos Roofing, a company you can trust, offering discounts to senior citizens, law enforcement, or healthcare workers, and assists in your insurance claims. Ramos Roofing, standing behind their work so you can stand under it. Call 479-420-9903. That's 420-9903. Ramos Roofing, working with you to build a better home.
Nobody has more pre-owned trucks than Harry Robinson's Salasol Ford. Work trucks, heavy-duty four-wheel drive trucks, single cab, extended cab, and four-wheel drive crew cab trucks. Fords, Chevys, GMCs, Dodge, Ram, and Nissans. And with historic low interest rates, no payments for 90 days, and the most for your trade, Harry Robinson's Salasol Ford is the only place to buy your next truck. Harry Robinson's Salasol Ford, 1 mile south of exit 308 off I-40 in Salasol.
Your home for every Razorback football, basketball, and baseball game. ESPN 95.3.
Hey, City!
I'm wacko from Waco, ain't no doubt about it. Shot a man there in the head, but can't talk much about it. He's trying to shoot me, but it took too long to aim. Anybody in my place would have done the same. I don't start fights, I finish fights, that's the way I'll always be. I'm wacko from Waco, you best not mess with me.
You're listening to Halftime with Phil Elson and Matt Jones. Want to jump in the conversation? Call or text into halftime at 877-377-6963. Now, here's Phil Elson and Matt Jones.
Looking down the list of some of the broadcasters that Billy Packer worked with during his time at the Final Four with both NBC and with CBS. Yes, he did work with Dick Enberg. And hey, the year before Billy Packer took over as the analyst, as the main analyst, they had Kurt Gowdy on there, and John Wooden listed as the sideline reporter. You mean you're going to put John Wooden on the sidelines, not sitting there next to the court in a chair? with the actual headset on. It's kind of interesting. Packer worked with Enberg, Gary Bender, Brent Musburger. Musburger did that for a long, long time. I didn't realize how long he did. Jim Nantz has been on the Final Four call ever since 1991. So we're going on over 30 years for him now as the play-by-play man for the Final Four. But Billy Packer, that's just, think of some of these names. Kurt Gowdy, Enberg, Musburger, and Jim Nantz. Those are who's who lists right there. And just the idea that also on one of those years, you had the Wizard of Westwood as the sideline analyst. Pretty amazing. Amazing people to work with. And who's been right now you get Raftery. We just played Raftery's call of Send It Home Jerome the other day from the Pitt game from 1987, I think it was. The odd thing is, Dick Vitale has never called a Final Four.
Really? I would have lost that if that was a trivia question. I definitely would have thought in the 90s he was on there one time.
All those years, he's just been with ESPN and ABC, ESPN. So, that's one of the weird things about, I guess, the way that college basketball has been broadcast.
He's a PTPer.
Diaper dandy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. ESPN kind of one of the first major live, sports that they broadcast on a game by game basis was college basketball, and Vitale was there, I think, nearly from the start. But while ESPN did carry, first, second, third, fourth round games, that kind of thing, because it's amazing to think about the way that tournament used to be broadcast, is that they didn't show every game all at once. I just didn't think they had the technology to do it. But they didn't even show, a first round game. You really they waited until they get to the Sweet 16. ESPN carried those first few rounds. But that is a little bit odd. To think of, Billy Packer was synonymous with the Final Four, but, I don't know, he called a lot of ACC games on Raycom, but they weren't national games necessarily. He'd be on the Saturday games with CBS. I think that people mostly think of Vitale when they think of a basketball analyst, and yet he's never done a Final Four game, at least not on TV.
That's wild. I always like listening to Dick Vitale. Bill Walton, too, a little bit when I think basketball, although he'll start rambling about something. You're like, I thought we were watching a basketball game right here.
Yeah, you never really quite know. Well, you do have a sense of what Walton might have gotten into.
Yeah, he tries to bring it back.
Mm-hmm. It's a combination basketball game, laser light show with Pink Floyd in the background all at the same time. It would have been weird.
And the Dancing Bears.
Can you imagine he and Packer on the same broadcast? No siree. All right, we're into the second hour of halftime. We will be right back.
It's a brand new year, and bigger savings are underway now at Harry Robinson Saddle-Saw Ford. It's a new year, new me here at Harry Robinson.
Yes, new year, new me sales event. Come down here and see us. Come down. If you purchase anything that is a 2020 or older, you get an additional $1,500 off of the price of the vehicle. So we are where you want to buy your next vehicle. Come down here and see us this weekend. New year, new me sales event. An additional $1,500 discount on anything that is a 2020 and older.
So you want to get here right now, get the best selection of the 2019s and the 2020s you have in stock.
Yes, and hey, we've even got a couple of 16s, 17s, 18s out there. So come and see us, trade in your older vehicle, get you one that's a little bit newer, and save yourself some money.
And right now, you're still paying more for trades here at Harry Robinson.
Yes, we are the home of more for your trade. Come down here and see us. We want to give you more money for it.
Harry Robinson, Saddle-Saw Ford, 1 mile south of exit 308 off of I-40 in Saddle-Saw, and online at harryrobinson.com.
Have a loan with a variable to balloon rate? That might be a problem if it's due to reprice soon. Let Farm Credit fix your problem with a long-term fixed interest rate loan. Farm Credit's terms are the longest in the ag industry, ensuring you'll have peace of mind for years to come. At Farm Credit, you have nothing to lose. When rates begin to drop, you can easily readjust your rate again with no refinancing application, no new appraisals, no new title work. We make it simple. Find a Farm Credit office near you at myaglender.com. Equal housing lender.
Wheeler Power Sports has their showroom packed
to help you jumpstart your spring adventures. Off-road accessories such as sound bars, light bars, roofs, windshield, wheel, tire kits, and more. Looking for a new off-road or street vehicle? They're loaded with Polaris, Kawasaki, Suzuki, Kimco, and KO units. Give them a call at 479-783-5822. Online at WheelerPowersports.com. Wheeler Powersports, keeping the good times rolling since 1967.
Fishing never stops. Make a Wake Bait and Tackle has everything from jigs to raincoats, Todd Huckabee crappie rods, Bobby Garland crappie jigs, and stay warm and dry with a River West rain suit, the area's largest selection of Zoom plastics, Flash Mob Jr., Kitech swim baits, Mega Bass rods, plus rattle traps, life jackets, and rod and reel repair. Find all the top brands and everything you need at Make a Wake Bait and Tackle, 1 mile east of I-540 on Highway 64. Make a Wake Bait and Tackle.
ESPN Arkansas weather.
For today, it is going to be sunny, breezy, not quite as cool. Our high in the low to mid-50s. Mainly clear sky tonight, and overnight low will drop down to near 35. And then we should see an increase in the cloud cover on Saturday. There is a chance of seeing a few showers, possibly a rumble of thunder, highs in the 50s. I'm Sally Russell with your forecast on ESPN Arkansas.
The Hit That Line podcast network is now available on Pandora Music and Podcasts. Just open your app or browser and search Hit That Line.
Proceed.
KERX Paris Fort Smith. This is Halftime, coming at you from the Busch Light Studios on ESPN 95.3.
It's what I always listen to.
Broadcasting on ESPN Arkansas and streaming on hitthatline.com.
We got a good one tonight. You got a team in here that doesn't respect you.
Live from the Busch Light Studios.
Don't ask me if I'm all right. Joaquin said dominate, and we not doing it.
We're going to go get one and celebrate on somebody else's field.
Matt Jones may take it to the house and the dunk.
You both said you had very motivational words at halftime.
It's Halftime with Phil Olsen and Matt Jones. Produced by Matt Travis.
Hold the rope! Hold the rope! Hold the rope! I'm putting my heart, dog. Let's go, man!
Probably as frustrated as I've been the first half.
Do we believe?
Second half, very happy.
Is vintage Matt Jones. Hold the rope! Hold the rope! Hold the rope on 3! 1, 2, 3! Turn that down,
Now, here's Phil Olsen and Matt Jones.
And into the second hour on this glorious Friday across the Natural State. Hope everybody has been able to thaw out. I hope you've gotten power back. I think there were, about 1,000 or so customers in Northwest Arkansas without electricity. We had plenty of people texting us yesterday saying they were still without power, and we're listening in the car just because it was a warm place to stay. So hopefully things have gotten a little bit better from yesterday, 24 hours ago. We'll get into Arkansas baseball with Andrew Ellis in just a moment. He's from 24/7 Sports, covering Arkansas baseball and, of course, the other teams as well with the Razorbacks. We've got time for calls and texts, 877-377-6963. There is a baseball scrimmage today at Baumwalker Stadium.
How fun.
Yeah. If I was up there, I'd go. I'd sit there.
My favorite part of practice, whether it's baseball, basketball, football, was when we started scrimmage. You get there for a week, 2 weeks, whatever you start, and then when you start scrimmaging a little bit and get to start playing. So I know they're looking forward to it.
So let me ask you about that. I mean, it's different when it comes to baseball because it's not a contact sport. I'll hear Dave Van Horn say it, Mike Neighbors, Eric Musselman, Sam Pittman. We're sick of playing each other.
Mm-hmm.
We're looking forward to playing against, somebody else wearing a different uniform. When you scrimmaged your own teammates in football, Matt, how physical did that actually get?
Well, it's just depending on what time of the season it was, Phil. So during certain times of the season, it'd be pretty physical, and sometimes and certain players like a guy like Cedric Cobbs, you weren't allowed to take him to the ground late in the year. My favorite scrimmages at Arkansas was my freshman year. We were going to the Cotton Bowl, and Coach Nutt, I remember him telling us this afterwards. We had over 250 scrimmage plays, live plays where everybody was live.
Wow.
And going in those 15 practices from the end of the season until the extra practice you got. But the spring scrimmage game, the start the season, having scrimmage, you're right. It is time. There's a couple fights. I've never been on a football team that you didn't have a fight during 2 days during camp. Everybody just getting on each other's nerves.
Is that usually like just a misunderstanding? I mean,
you're tired. Yeah.
Well, and there's the other aspect to this too. I mean, you can't have a group of 35 men in the same room where everybody just gets along,
especially alphas.
Perfectly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just doesn't work that way. I mean, you can feel one way about an opponent that you might not know very personally, but then there's sometimes the way you feel about, the guy that you share a room with when you're on the road. And this guy doesn't pick his underwear up. I'm going to go lay him out for a moment, and maybe he'll remember to pick his underwear up.
Whatever they were, Jeb Huckabee and Sean Andrews got into it. I got into it one time with Ahmad Carroll. I was running routes, and I thought he tried to talk about tired. I thought he tried to trip me on purpose. So I turned around, and we're pushing each other and getting after it. And it's the only time. And but when Jeb and Sean got into it, they were both freshmen. You're just like, oh my goodness! I mean, these are two grown men. But you got to let them get it out, and then it's over with. Then you
don't got to get in and break it up for fear of maybe getting one in the face too.
Keep your helmet on is what they always tell you. Don't the players that we had a coach, that player would take his helmet off and get into a fight. He's like, "How dumb are you? I don't want to coach a dumb player." It's like, why are you taking your equipment off so he can punch you in the face, you weirdo?
I never saw baseball players get into a fight on the field in a scrimmage.
Yeah,
I saw some things working for the Travelers, traveling on buses or in the hotel. That's a different thing.
Mm-hmm.
On the field,
that might be cheating
fine.
in cards or something like that. Yeah, you can't have any of that.
Or they just tipped it back a little bit too much on a 12-hour bus ride.
Right. Are we there yet?
Yeah, that happened 2 or 3 times. But it's a different kind of competition, really, because when you're competing against someone else wearing a different uniform that's going to a different school. You're playing to win the game, to win that one-on-one matchup so that you do your part to win the game and get a W on your coach's record and feel good about yourself for a moment. When you're in a scrimmage, you're battling for a job. You're fighting with one of the other guys on your own team who wants the same job that you do. So it's a whole different kind of competition. And, I guess, when it comes to like a baseball scrimmage, you want to win the scrimmage, right? Because I think Dave still cares about somebody doing something small,
and you want to win your individual
for a win,
and you want to win your individual matchups too. Is that more so in baseball, you think, than actually? I know it's a team concept, but what you're saying is individually you want to put bat on ball. You don't want to have any errors.
Yeah, that's really the way I view baseball, and it's so much different than the other sports. We've got like less than 2 hours left here. I could go 5 hours on it, but baseball is a team sport played in an individual context with individual matchups. Offense, batting, it's individual for the most part. Guys have to run the bases well, but that's on themselves. Playing in the field, defense, that's teamwork. That's individual teamwork. Third baseman, second baseman. Middle infielders, that kind of thing.
Like you can't get thrown out if you're at first. You can't get picked off or thrown out when your best hitter's up to bat. Like you got to be aware of what's going on.
Yeah, I'd love to be able to get over and watch them scrimmage today. It's a 2:35 first pitch, and Parker Coyle will be one of the starting pitchers. He's a left-hander. Cody Adcock is one of the others. Coyle, if I remember, was a junior college guy. Looking through my roster. No, he's a freshman, true freshman, coming out of Edmond, Oklahoma, getting a Friday start.
And it's the man, Phil. It's the coaches get to see who is the moment too big for him. Who steps up, scrimmage. How the blood's just flowing a little better. The game day juices start. You've been practicing for however long, and then you get the chance to actually go play the game, and it kind of gives you a little momentum, a little extra energy, a little boost. And coaches can tell. They can see those players that really love it and want to be out there. I love those first couple scrimmages, yeah.
And it's always cool. Like, we're fans allowed to watch your scrimmages? I don't mean like the spring game. I mean, a scrimmage in the spring or in August. I mean, if I would imagine fans weren't allowed to watch, they practically welcome anybody in to Baum-Walker Stadium to watch these scrimmages. Film whatever you want to film, right? They don't care. Football and basketball are just a little different, a little more secretive about things. Hey, we got Charlie on hold with us. Let's take Charlie's phone call, 877-377-6963 for a call or a text on halftime. Good afternoon, Tuna. What you mix yourself with today?
Oh, I didn't do nothing today, Phil. I'm trying to be good, man. Trying to be good. It's Friday. Gonna try to stay out of trouble, I want to say, Matt, let me ask you something, man. I know you said back when you played baseball, they just let you steal whenever. Hey, Phil, how many guys have you seen built like Matt, 6 foot, 6, about 220, probably runs a 4.38 or whatever he ran, and were just amazing base stealers? Because aren't most guys that steal, aren't they a little shorter?
There are not a lot of 6'6" baseball position players. There just aren't. Most of those guys are pitchers. There's only one Aaron Judge.
He was going to be a pitcher that could steal. That's Matt. A pitcher that could steal.
I'd be a pinch runner. You know what I mean? Because I wasn't, as I got older, I wasn't as good swinging the bat. I could put bat on ball, but that curveball, I couldn't hit it. It's like I was getting out the way.
I love the idea of Matt Jones, if you would have played baseball, of being like a pitcher and pinch runner at the same time.
Yeah.
That'd be an interesting way to make a living.
Perfect. I mean, Matt, you would have made one heck of a living. My only thing is, your first step is already halfway to the other bag. So, I mean, to me, that's kind of like cheat code almost. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't even test you. I'd just let you go. That'd just be me, though. Anyway, guys, I want to talk about tomorrow, this matchup with Baylor.
Shoot.
Phil, you all always know Baylor's about their guards. And I was looking at their, top 4 scorers, and they're all their guards. But one guy coming off the bench. But, I was thinking about something last year that Muss always did with Jay Will. We played against centers that could not shoot. They don't have a big man who can really shoot.
No,
I know they got a power forward who can. He's not super efficient. So if I had to guess from a defensive game plan standpoint of what they're going to do, they're going to tell these guys to run their rears off as hard as they can, try to fight through every screen, and you're going to have Mitchell in a drop coverage. And if they do get by the guy, they got to meet Mitchell, or they're going to have to throw that lob, which is hard to do over him. Whoever's in there, I think you'll see something. That's what they're going to have to be great tomorrow defensively. Their big men are going to have to be great as far as, in that drop coverage. I think that's what they'll do. And then they're really going to have to run these guys off the line. I mean,
35% of Baylor's points, Charlie, come from three-pointers. Yeah.
We can't.
I mean, they can score in other ways, but the perimeter defense is probably the number one key to tomorrow's game.
And we got to keep them off the offensive boards. We got to keep their bigs.
Definitely. Yeah. Offensively, I'm not really, they're going to zone us. But my thing is, if we can get some stops and get out, I'm not as worried about the zone. I know when the game's going to slow down, it's going to be a little tougher to score for us. But if we can get some stops and get out, I mean, we got a shot. I mean, I expect a fight. I just hope, Phil. I just hope to God, I'm praying right now, we don't have 40 free throw attempts between both teams. Let's just let these guys play a little bit, and let's see what happens. I give Arkansas a great shot. Anyways, thanks, guys.
Thanks, Charlie. Yeah. You're right about the rebounding too, Matt. 39% offensive rebounding rate for Baylor.
We got to keep – that's what their bigs do. That's what they do well.
Well, and also when you specialize in the three-pointer, you get longer rebounds.
A lot of long, high rebounds. Yep. Yes, sir.
Your guards are going to need to block out pretty effectively. Woods has called us as well. You heard it. Your ears are burning anytime I bring up baseball, Woods. You're becoming a regular. How are you?
Well, I'm good. You guys caught my attention when you started talking about baseball as I work from home. But I was just going to say, like, when these guys practice on days like this, I mean, you tell me, I mean, baseball is not a physical sport, but when these guys slide into second on a scrimmage, I mean, it becomes physical, but there's no animosity.
Well, especially Woods, especially the way that Dave Van Horn will describe how he wants his infielders to tag. Like, you're not just lying the tag down on him and, you know what, I think I might tag you right now. No, the phrase that he's used with me is, I want you to get your nose dirty, which means get that tag down on that guy. Hit him on the head if you have to.
Hit him hard. Hit him hard. That way they don't do it ever again. That's kind of the way that you're supposed to do it. Make sure that they don't ever do it again. But yeah, this is my favorite time of the year, is the preseason practice, because it's tough and everybody's fighting for their job, right? So
I don't know. My favorite time of the year is June when we're in Omaha. But you got to have a good January to get there, right?
I do love that. My another part of my favorite time is like late April and May, and going onto the park on Sunday when we play a 12 o'clock game, and you're out and shagging balls as a pitcher, just hanging out. That's another one of my favorite things. But you're right. I mean, you say that baseball is not a physical sport, but it can be.
Well,
even with your own teammates.
You got to say that, I mean, there's a physical aspect to it, no doubt. All those repetitive motions on an every single day basis. It's just not the contact sport that, football is or basketball is. But you pointed out an area where there is still contact. Now, you can't run over a catcher, but that baseball's hard. The baseball's harder than the football. The baseball is harder than a basketball. I guess maybe only a golf ball would be harder. But you can, well-placed, hard, well-thought-out tag. That's contact, and it doesn't feel good either.
And do they throw at anybody in a game like this?
No, never,
yeah,
never.
Yeah.
Oh, nobody ever does that.
Not an inter squad.
Yeah.
not an inter squad.
Not if you want to Not if you want to stay on the team. Yeah. It's like you can't hit the quarterback late.
I've been thrown at before. Don't worry.
Got to pitch inside, though. Woods, appreciate you, man. Thanks for the call, as always. Woods has those burning ears, man, when it comes to baseball. All right, let's break. We're going to talk a little more baseball in just a moment. Andrew Ellis from hogsports.com to join us. We'll get thoughts on baseball. I'm sure he'll be over there at the scrimmage today, and maybe get a little thought on Arkansas and Baylor tomorrow. Halftime back after this quick break.
Take you in the sun to promised lands, to show you everyone. It's the time of the season for loving.
Are you looking for the best Razorbacks insight and analysis?
Hell yes.
How about listening to an Arkansas football legend?
Matt Jones, all he does is make big plays.
What's the voice of the Hogs have to say?
Hey, what a great crowd last night.
Don't forget about the Omahogs.
The Hogs are going to Omaha.
Matt Jones, Chuck Barrett, and Phil Elson, the best in the business, on the Hit That Line podcast network. Go to hitthatline.com or search Hit That Line wherever you listen to podcasts. Don't forget to rate, review, subscribe, and share.
When you need a plumber, call the name you know and trust. Ashley Air. The same great people that take care of your heating and cooling system can also meet your plumbing needs. Right now, take $50 off any plumbing repair or get a $129 drain cleaning plus a 2-year parts and labor warranty. Restrictions apply. If you have clogged drains, Ashley Air is the one to call. Go to ashley.air.com to schedule your plumbing service. That's ashley.air.com. Proud sponsors of Razorback Athletics.
Needing your roof repaired? Ramos Roofing is a local company that has over 25 years of experience, specializing in your residential or commercial roofing needs in the Oklahoma area. Ramos Roofing, a company you can trust, offering discounts to senior citizens, law enforcement, or healthcare workers, and assists in your insurance claims. Ramos Roofing, standing behind their work so you can stand under it. Call 479-420-9903. That's 420-9903. Ramos Roofing, working with you to build a better home.
Wheeler Power Sports has their showroom packed to help you jumpstart your spring adventures. Off-road accessories such as sound bars, light bars, roofs, windshield, wheel, tire kits, and more. Looking for a new off-road or street vehicle? They're loaded with Polaris, Kawasaki, Suzuki, Kimco, and KO units. Give them a call at 479-783-5822. Online at WheelerPowersports.com. Wheeler Power Sports, keeping the good times rolling since 1967.
World of Wireless is your local dish dealer, but they provide far more than that for the services you need in your home, including fast internet.
Yeah, go to wowfastinternet.com. That's www.wowfastinternet.com. If you live in a rural area, east of Barling, south of Greenwood, like Charleston, Ozark, Altus, Denning, Paris. We are now in Paris. In the Mansfield-Hartford area, call us at 877-305-3474 to get TV or internet service. If you need smart home products installed in your home, or you have a barn out back, or you have a he shed or a she shed and you want internet or TV services there, we specialize in installing TV and internet services in rural areas outside of the traditional home if you need a second home or a second building installed also.
Just go to wowfastinternet.com and you can figure out real quick if you live in the coverage area.
Yeah, high-speed unlimited internet, fast enough to stream. If you want Dish TV service, 3-year price guarantee, $100 gift card. Sign up now.
Right at the light next door to Frank Rowe Furniture in Barling, or call 877-305-DISH for World of Wireless.
Come on along, head for the mountains of Bush Beer. Head for the mountains, it's cold and it's smooth and it's waiting for you. Come on, head for the mountains of Bush Beer. Head for the mountains of Bush. Head for the mountains of Bush. Like me.
Enjoy responsibly. Copyright 2022. Anheuser-Busch, Busch, and Busch Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Harry Robinson Buick GMC wants to buy your vehicle, and they'll pay top dollar today. Pre-owned car values are at an all-time high, and your car is worth more today than it ever will be again. If you are driving a 2013 model or newer with 120,000 miles or less, bring it to Harry Robinson Buick GMC, and they will pay you more for your trade. Even if you don't want to buy a new car, they will still buy yours. Harry Robinson Buick GMC, exit 11 off of I-540 in Fort Smith.
Your home for every Razorback football, basketball, and baseball game. ESPN 95.3.
Oh, the games people play now, every night and every day now, never meaning what they say now, never saying what they mean. Oh, they while away the hours in their ivory towers till they're covered up with flowers in the back of a black limousine. La 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 da da da, la 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 da da dee. I'm talking about you and me and the games people play.
Welcome back to Halftime with Phil Elson and Matt Jones. Got a question or comment for the guys? Give them a call or send them a text at 877-377-6963. Let's get back to the show with the voice of Arkansas Razorback baseball, Phil Elson, and Razorback football legend Matt Jones.
Andrew Ellis is on Halftime. He is covering Arkansas athletics at hogsports.com on the 24/7 Sports Network. Covers all the sports, but heavy into baseball right now, especially with a scrimmage going on later this afternoon. I'm assuming, Andrew, that you will be in attendance for this scrimmage, because why not? You get to watch the guys play ball today.
Well, actually, Phil, I hate to break it to you, I am on my way to Waco at the moment. I'm going to miss this weekend's scrimmage, and I'm really disappointed about it, but, duty calls. So I'm currently at a Dairy Queen on my way to Waco doing this show, and but I'm doing great, and I'm disappointed I'm missing baseball, but I'm ready to talk some ball for sure.
Hey, if you're going to miss the baseball scrimmage, it might as well be for a really big basketball game in the regular season on the road, and I'm sure you're going to find like another 28 Dairy Queens between where you are right now and Waco, because they are all over Texas, man, all over the place. And we'll get thoughts on we'll get some thoughts on the basketball game in a moment here. Baseball, I've been doing for the last week and a half or so. One thing that I feel I know about this Arkansas baseball team, and one thing that I'm not sure about. So I'm going to ask you the same questions here. Give me one thing about Arkansas baseball right now that you feel really confident about.
Well, I think the most obvious thing, and I think the answer most would say, is that the pitching staff, the depth of it. And, I think there's plenty of options, in the starting rotation of just big time. They have such a good mix of arms, with power arms, with guys like Jackson Wiggins and Brady Tiger and Hagen Smith, and even a JUCO guy in Hunter Holland. There's so many different guys that have that just typical starter power stuff. But you also have your Will McIntyres and your Zach Morrises, kind of your strike thrower veterans that'll mix speeds and stuff like that. And then just so many, they brought in a guy, Cody Frank, who can kind of fill different roles for them. Has had some starting experience in the past, could close games for them. And, a guy, Austin Ledbetter, who's a guy that got some run last year, and we saw him pitch in Omaha. And he's a guy I'm pretty high on that I think he could step into a real role as a sophomore. So, you just go through the list. There's so many names and so many options. And I know preseason, it seems like that all the time. And then you get into the season and you really can only count on a few arms here and there. But I think this year more than ever, I think Arkansas has more options than they've ever had with the pitching staff. And I think you have a lot of different guys who could fill different roles. And it's going to be interesting to see how Coach Van Horn and Coach Hobbs go about determining roles and how long it takes for them to kind of figure out who their top three starters are and who fills in where in the bullpen. But, there's just such a good mix of skill sets, and it's just so deep top to bottom with guys with proven experience that's the one thing that no matter what else happens with this team, I just feel like they have such a high floor because of how good that pitching staff is going to be.
Well, Dave has talked quite a lot about Will McIntyre and that he wants him to be a starting pitcher, which means he wants him to be a weekend starter, not someone that he's going to throw out there Tuesdays and Wednesdays, unless you're pitching on a Tuesday or a Wednesday in Omaha. And I think the fact that he pitched well in the College World Series against Auburn last year, and that's an Auburn team that can hit, and I think so much of it also has to do with the fact that he throws strikes on a consistent basis. But his stuff is good. It's not quite the same as the rest of them. And so what that also tells me is that he's almost like an example for anybody that's on the team when you're trying to refer to, well, you might be a thrower. We need you to be a pitcher. Like what we hear about Wiggins right now. Fire-breathing dragon kind of an arm, 99, 100 miles an hour, wasn't really sure where it was going. He's a thrower. I hear he's more of a pitcher now, but again, I got to believe it when I see it. McIntyre is the epitome of a guy who pitches. He's always had to pitch because his stuff has been just a little bit shorter than like most other pitchers, I think, on whatever team he's played for.
No, you're absolutely right. And I think that Will McIntyre is also a guy who's just earned his stripes, and I think that if there's any pitcher on the roster who's kind of earned any benefit of the doubt in terms of trying to figure out starters, who better than a guy who, if you think back to last year, by the end of the season, he was as reliable as any arm on the entire roster. Elimination game in Omaha, pitching 7 strong innings. It doesn't get any bigger than that. And when you have a guy who's done that and has had to work for everything he's gotten, it's just hard to not have some faith in that guy. And I think also what it comes down to with Dave, and he's talked about this a lot before, is starting Will McIntyre allows them to leave some of those power arms that I mentioned earlier in the back end of the bullpen where, a guy like Brady Tiger, I believe he has starter-type stuff, and I think he can mix speeds well enough, and he could be a guy that I think he could thrive in that role. And part of me wants to see him in that role to see what kind of ceiling he could have there as a starter. But I think also it's just easier to have a guy like that and say, hey, 8th and 9th innings are yours. Just go let it eat. Just go do what you got to do. And I think Hunter Holland's another guy that, he's a guy that, from San Jack that they're really high on that, I think he was even better than they expected. Him and Cody Adcock, who also came from the JUCO ranks. And those are kind of your typical power arms that, can mix speeds and probably could be a starter if you needed them to, but you probably get more out of their skill sets if you have them in the back end of the bullpen and you're allowing them to just kind of go in there and let it eat late in the ball game. And like Dave said the other day in his press conference, that's when the games are going to be won is with the bullpens and kind of late as you get to the later innings. And I think this team has so many options, and I think it's going to be really beneficial if Wiggins can take the step that they're hoping he takes, if Hagen Smith continues to be who he is, and Will McIntyre can fill that third starter spot. I think it allows them to have even more options at the end of games, which is going to be huge for them.
Where does Dave Van Horn rank as far as SEC coaches, and is the only thing left to do on his resume is to win a national title?
It's kind of an obvious answer, but yes, that's all there is left for him to do. As far as where he ranks among coaches, it's tough to tell.
Just in the SEC,
I don't know there's so many good options. You think about a guy like, it's so difficult how it changes year to year, because you think about a guy like Mike Bianco. This time last year, I don't think there would be anybody who would have said Mike Bianco is higher on their all-time list. Ole Miss fans were ready to run that guy out of town. Phil, I know you were in Hoover. I mean, I remember when Ole Miss was in Hoover, they were ready to be done with Mike Bianco, and then a few weeks later he's a national champion. So it can turn that quickly. I view Dave in such high regard, and I mean, I know all Hog fans do, and I know most around the country view him in high regard. Is he the best coach in the SEC? I don't know. I think that's for I'll let other people have those debates, but I feel like Dave is just when you have Dave as your coach, especially these last 5 or 6 years where it seems like he's been rejuvenated a little bit. I just feel like he's going to have your team in position, and he's going to get a lot out of his team, and he's going to have them playing well at the right times. And I think you can baseball. It takes so much to win a national championship in baseball, and I think you kind of need to get some breaks that go your way. And I just have a hard time believing that Van Horn is not going to eventually get over the hump there. And I feel like he's got this team in position so often. I think it's just a matter of time. And who knows? I don't know if it's going to be this year, next year, or whenever. But I just feel like with Dave, the formula he's created and just what he's done with this program, it's just hard to bet against that guy. And I don't plan on doing that anytime soon.
So we feel really confident about Arkansas pitching, no doubt. What's a bigger question mark? Would it be the lineup, or is it how they'll play in the field defensively? My answer is in the field, because I always trust it's going to be a team that hits and hits enough to win games. And maybe we were a little spoiled the last couple of years, with the middle infield battles and more, and you had great center fielders, Christian Franklin and then Braden Webb, and really good catchers. So maybe we're a little bit more spoiled. I just kind of feel like the bigger question mark is our plays in the field with the glove.
No, yeah, I'm with you 100%. I would agree that I think the infield defense in particular is probably a bigger question mark. And like you said, like the lineup, they just produce more often than not. I think last year's team, I guess you could say, underachieved to an extent in the regular season. And I think this year's team has potential to maybe overachieve what people are expecting, just because there's so many new faces and some somewhat unknown commodities, like a guy like Tavian Josenberger or Caleb Cowley. Like, I think fans might not know who they are at this moment, but I think once the season gets rolling, they'll see the talent that's in the lineup. And I have no doubt that this group's going to be, very productive offensively, and I think they have good returning pieces to kind of build their roster around. But, I think some people are, everyone knows how good Robert Moore was, and they know how good Jalen Battles was, and even Caden Wallace at third base. I don't think people really understand how special that infield defense was last year, and I think this could be a pretty good infield defense. I don't think they're going to be bad by any means, but I think that people are just going to see the levels to this, and they're going to realize that what Arkansas had last year on the infield was special. And there's still a little bit of a question mark with the catching position. Who's going to win that battle between Hudson Polk and Parker Rowland? Both kind of had their moments in the fall, and Hudson Polk was the better defender in my opinion, but still a little bit of a question mark. Not a ton of experience at that spot. So I'm with you. I think there's definitely more questions to answer in the infield. And Harold Cole is the interesting one to me, because his numbers at Sanjak at JUCO, which JUCO numbers can be hit or miss, but Sanjak is pretty reliable in terms of producing big-time talent. And, he was a really consistent defender and solid offensive player. And then he got off to a little bit of a slow start in the field, which kind of paved the way for John Bolton kind of positioning himself as the potential starter at shortstop. But Harold Cole's a guy that I'm a big believer in, his skill set all around. And I'd be surprised if he didn't end up being at least a pretty good defensive shortstop. But I think it's impossible not to take a little bit of a step back from what they had last year.
Is this Peyton Stovall's team? Sophomore captain? That's kind of rare. But and I was impressed with how Peyton handled the struggles that he started out of the gate with last season, the finger injury that kept him out for a few weeks, and then, jumping right back into the lineup and being one of the guys that helped carry them through the postseason. And now as a sophomore, he's one of the three captains. So, I mean, it really feels like this is Peyton Stovall's team.
No, yeah, I mean, it says a lot about him and what kind of guy he is and what kind of leader and player he is that he was voted a captain as a sophomore who, really up until the last few weeks of the season, it's not like he's the can't-miss obvious returner who's, the guy you kind of a default captain. I feel like he really had to earn the respect of his teammates and earn that spot, and he did that. And when you listen to him talk in the press conference today, you kind of see why. You see the leadership qualities and just kind of what kind of person he is, and it's easy to see why his teammates respect him. As far as his team, that's interesting, but I don't know if there's this team. What I like about this team is that it doesn't seem like there's like a Carson Shaddy type or a Casey Opitz type of guy who's like the vocal guy who's going to lead everyone. It feels like they just have a lot of really solid veteran guys throughout the locker room, both in the pitching staff and in the lineup. And guys with their transfers like Jared Wegner and Tavian Josenberger. It seems like they have a lot of guys who are more of that lead by example type, maybe not necessarily the rah-rah guy, but it just seems like a really adult group. And you just see like guys like Peyton Stovall who are 19 who just carry themselves with such a poise, and they're just so, they just seem like adults. They're just mature in their approach, and it's just a really good culture that they have, and it seems like it gets the best out of the group year in and year out.
This is a year like it's Omaha or bust, right? Some fans look at it, national championship or bust. I think the program is at a place, and they've been here for a while, where the expectations are to make it to the College World Series, and that's what makes it a successful season. This is the same thing as really the last 5-6 years.
Oh, I mean, I think it has to be, and obviously it's not realistic that you're going to go to Omaha every single year. But I'm with you that I feel like that has to be the expectation and has to be the goal. I mean, there should be there's no reason for it to be anything less than that. And I mean, this team has more than enough talent. I mean, I know there's some question marks that we've talked about and some new pieces that fans around the country and even some fans in Arkansas might not be overly familiar with. But I mean, there's more than enough talent, especially with the pitching staff. And I just really like the makeup of the skill sets in the lineup. I mean, there's absolutely no reason this team can't make a run and make a push. I mean, I'm with you. That should absolutely be the expectation and should be the goal. And we'll see if they get it done. I'm cautiously optimistic about this group's chances. I think that some people are going to be surprised with how good some of the pieces in the lineup are. Like I said, I think some people were a little frustrated with last year's team just because there were so many known commodities coming back. So you just assume they're all going to be way better, which is obviously just how we view these things because we just look at returning starters and stuff like that. But I think Arkansas's got more than enough talent in the lineup to really be a team that is in the mix from the beginning to the end.
Has the NIL affected baseball like it has basketball and football? It seems to really be taking over football, and in basketball, I guess, because you have a star goes. But in baseball, is it as bad? I use the word as bad, but how has the NIL affected college baseball?
I haven't seen that effect as much, and it's tough to know really what goes on behind the scenes. And nowadays, I think there's so many different factors at play where guys were entering the transfer portal at a higher and higher rates over the last few years, regardless, before any NIL deal stuff happens. So it's tough to tell, like when Arkansas has a team full of transfers, whether or not that has anything to do with NIL or if that was just kind of the way it played out or just how they wanted to build their roster.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't think it has nearly as much effect, simply just because there's just more money in football and there's more money in basketball. And basketball obviously has had its own. I mean, there's been weird recruiting stuff going on in college basketball for as long as anyone can remember.
And in basketball, and to your point, basketball, one player can really make the difference. In baseball, it's not that way.
Right, and I also just think like there's just so much talent across the country in baseball that where it's not like there's such a premium on those top players because if you just go to the JUCO ranks, there's players that get drafted in top rounds out of JUCOs. Yeah. You go to any conference across the country, there's just so much talent in baseball. So where I don't think I just have a hard time believing a coach like Dave Van Horn is like wanting to go all in to try to get one or two of these top players just because one, you see so many of them end up going to the draft out of high school or from their JUCO or from their college or wherever. So I just feel like it's less of an effect. And like I mentioned earlier, there's just less money in baseball. And so I guess if there's anyone, I know there's some fans that are a little frustrated with, I guess, the direction of amateur sports and college sports. So maybe baseball is like the last bit of purity we have left, as the old folks say.
Yeah, Andrew, it's I was gonna say it's not amateur anymore, Phil. The basketball and football is not. Yeah.
Well, baseball in some terms too. Andrew, we'll leave it there. We're up against the break. Appreciate you. Drive safe. Enjoy all of the blizzards and Dairy Queen treats that you can enjoy on your way down to Waco. Okay.
Absolutely. I appreciate you guys having me on, man. Anytime. Thank you.
Thanks, Andrew.
You got it. Andrew Ellis covers Arkansas athletics at hogsports.com. Hey, Ramos Roofing will help you with any damage or problems that you've had with your roof from the recent snowstorms. They'll help you with your home or your commercial building in eastern Oklahoma or in the River Valley. Ramos Roofing can assist with your insurance as well. Their phone number is 479-420-9903. Ramos Roofing. They guarantee all their work and stand behind their roof so you can stand under it. Call Ramos Roofing today at 479-420-9903. Meanwhile, we are coming back right after this on halftime. We've got time for a call if you want, 877-377-6963. We'll be right back.
Joe Klein here for Bet Saracen, Arkansas's favorite sports betting app.
You bet it is, Joe, which means Bet Saracen has everything you're looking for and more right there on your cell phone.
Now everyone can get in the game and follow your favorite team.
And that's right on the money. If putting down a little wager makes your favorite game a little more exciting, we'll go to the app stores and download Bet Saracen. We even got a demo video to show you how to play.
Or find it at betsaracen.com.
I am not who you say I am.
I'm a pastor.
I am a caregiver.
I am a father.
I am a friend.
I'm a doctor.
Chances are someone you know and love is struggling with substance use disorder, but recovery is possible. Help starts when we stop stigma, view each other with compassion, and reach out for help. Call 1-800-622-HELP to get started. This message sponsored by the North Arkansas Partnership for Health Education and supported by grant number 2018-AR-BX-KO85 awarded by the Bureau of Justice Assistance.
Are you a qualified CDL driver with local or over-the-road experience? Tired of driving older equipment? Not having enough home time? Feel like a number? You need Patriot Transport. Patriot Transport, based in Centerville, with locations in Russellville and Van Buren, provides you with late model equipment, has a family atmosphere, and provides you the opportunity to make $95,000 per year. Patriot Transport works with you to get the miles you want and the family time you need. Change your life today. Visit patriottransport.com to apply. That's patriottransport.com.
If you are involved in a divorce or custody case, you want an attorney you can trust to guide you through the process. The attorneys at Hickey & Hole Law Partners have over 7 decades of combined experience. Hickey & Hole have seen and heard nearly every scenario you can imagine, ready to put that experience to work for you to get the best results. Visit kevinhickeylaw.com or give them a call today to schedule your consultation. Hickey & Hole Law Partners. Things are about to get better.
Hi, this is Melissa Vitale, owner of True Grit Running Company. Your young athlete deserves the best when it comes to footwear. After all, it's good to start early so they don't have problems in the future. We've got options for training, cross-country, gym class, and more. Our well-trained staff can guide your student athlete through our personalized fit process to help find that True Grit fit. And for our cross-country kids, we offer a 10% discount off of your total purchase. Visit our store in Fort Smith, located behind Chick-fil-A.
Do you want to be a part of the team that makes the best pizza and wings in town? Well, I've got great news. Papa's Pub and Pizzeria is now accepting applications for full and part-time cooks. Fill out your application in person Monday through Saturday between 11 a.m. and 5 p.m. Papa's Pub and Pizzeria, 508 Garrison Avenue in downtown Fort Smith. You'll get to make the best darn pizza in Fort Smith, perhaps the world.
Order the double cheese and sausage. Right here, dude.
Elite Roofing is a locally owned roofing contractor. If you're building a new home or maybe need a new roof on your existing home, Elite Roofing can take care of you. Elite Roofing is known for their dependability and reliability. Just ask any of their satisfied customers. They are licensed and insured, and references are available upon request. If you need a roof, call your local roofing contractors. Elite Roofing, 478-8668. That's 478-8668. Elite Roofing, 478-8668.
Before you buy that next car or truck, stop by Broadway Motors in Van Buren. The best of the best for 2 straight years. Michael and his team offer the best prices on the best quality pre-owned vehicles in the River Valley. They invite you to stop by and check it out for yourself. Or if you prefer to check out their inventory online or even do your financing online. Michael has built his reputation as a husband, father, and owner-operator since 2006. Broadway Motors, 806 Broadway in Van Buren, or online at BroadwayMotorsAR.com.
Your home for every Razorback football, basketball, and baseball game. ESPN 95.3.
You're listening to Halftime with Phil Elson and Matt Jones. Want to jump in the conversation? Call or text into halftime at 877-377-6963. Now, here's Phil Elson and Matt Jones.
An email from the Arkansas Athletic Department. There is the gymnastics meet tonight at Barnhill Arena. LSU against Arkansas. And, of course, LSU feature. Well, I don't want to say features because I don't think she's been competing at all because of an injury. Olivia Dunn, who's got all these followers on TikTok and other social media, told the Today Show a couple days ago that she is very lucky to be making 7 figures in name, image, and likeness. And maybe the most popular female athlete across the country, certainly for teenagers right now. This meet is sold out. It's the first ever sellout at Barnhill Arena for gymnastics. And Olivia Dunn's got to be the reason why. I can't.
Is she even playing? Like I remember the last time she wasn't.
I don't think
even,
she is.
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
I don't think she
participating.
Is.
Yeah,
but she'll be there, which I guess is enough for
Instagram and everything. Yeah, she can take her photos.
7,147 tickets sold out. The previous record at Barnhill was 6,741. So it's the most tickets they've ever sold for an event at Barnhill. I think they had over 10,000 sold for the Bud Walton Arena event last year. This would be the one you'd want to have at Bud Walton, to be honest. I guess it's just a little more difficult to turn the basketball arena into a gymnastics arena on just, I guess it would be like, what, a little less than 48 hours from the end of the women's basketball game last night? Because otherwise, they probably, honestly, from what it sounds, how popular this young lady is, 19,200 for a gymnastics meet at Bud Walton Arena. It sounds crazy. But this has never happened before at Barnhill. What's to say they couldn't have sold another 12,000 tickets? And I mean, you have to send an email out to the point of reminding media members about all of these rules and regulations that I'm not sure if anybody really worried about before. And it's going to be nuts because like the attention. I don't know if you've ever been to one of these gymnastics meets, Matt. It's really fun. I mean, the music's loud. The athletes, are into all of their other teammates' routines. They have a great time, and it's a different sort of a crowd than I've seen at any other Arkansas Razorback event. But this one's going to be much different than even that. I mean, it's like you literally have a rock star coming into town, and she's not even going to get on stage. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's like those NBA guys on the back to back can't do back to backs. That's pretty cool. That she's able to find her thing and do it. And so how cool. I couldn't tell you who she is. I don't know. I thought she was going to be on the Olympic team when you started talking about her. They had this gymnast that everybody wants to see. So I thought she was talented. But it's as they say, if you want an easier life, you should have been born prettier.
Well, I'm sure she's really talented. I can't imagine that you don't get a chance to compete in the SEC if you're not talented. It's just like usually people would be excited to go watch you perform in the event, and they probably would be. That was it,
right?
Event.
That's what I wanted to see. I don't want to. Yeah, I want to see her perform.
I wonder how many of her 3.4 million Instagram followers are following her because she's a good athlete.
Man, I mean, they're going to follow her as she walks out of the bus, as she walks into the arena, and has her own security detail right there to block off anybody that wants to get anywhere close to her. This is unique. What's happening tonight, I think, at Barnhill Arena is as unique as it's ever been for any Arkansas athletics. And we're going to wrap up hour number 2 in just a moment. 877-377-6963. You can see the light at the end of the tunnel. The golden hour is on the way. Really fired up about it, and we'll be back after this.
Make today more interesting with Betly's online sports betting action. You can bet on pro and college games with Betly, the only online sportsbook in Arkansas and Tennessee. And right now, every new customer can cash in on a $250 risk-free first bet. Download the Betly Sportsbook app now in the Apple and Google Play Store or visit Betly.com. With Betly, every game matters.
Must be 21 or older and located in Arkansas or Tennessee to bet. Play responsibly. For help quitting, call 800-522-4700.
Hey, if you're in the market for a Mustang, Randall Ford at 5500 Rogers Avenue in Fort Smith is basically Mustang Central. And I got my buddy Andrew Brown with me. Andrew, if someone's looking for a Mach 1, a regular Mustang, or a GT Shelby Cobra, you guys have them.
Dude, absolutely. We have all kinds of different Mustangs here. We have the Mach 1s, the 5.0s, and like you said, the 500s. So, I mean, you can't really miss on Mustangs here.
You know, if someone's looking for a Mach 1, you have them new, and you also have them pre-owned. And you've got some good-looking pre-owned sitting right down front as well.
Absolutely. We honestly can't keep them here as much as they come here. So if you want to come see them, we better come on by.
So when they walk in, they'll see two of them on the showroom floor, have some down front. Easy to come in and test drive, and all they got to do is ask for you.
Absolutely. Just ask for me.
There you go. Come by and see my buddy Andrew Brown, or one of the sales professionals today. We're at 5500 Rogers Avenue in Fort Smith. Don't forget, you can always shop us online at randallford.com.
Watch every Hog game this season at Joe's Grill and Cantina, your home for half-price apps and taps during every Hog game. With TVs all around the restaurant, you'll have a front row seat for all the action. Half-price appetizers like Joe's Sampler Platter, Ballpark Nachos, 10-layer dip, brisket nachos, and Mexican pizza. And ask about Joe's tailgate packages to make your football experience even better in the comfort of your home. Half-price apps and taps for every Hog game at Joe's Grill and Cantina, 3400 South 74th Street, across from Harps.
And we're back with breaking news. Coke Zero Sugar might be the best Coke ever.
That's right, Jim. Coke Zero Sugar is a must-try for any Coke fan, so make sure you... Jim. Jim. We're on the air.
Ooh, yes, this tastes like the best Coke ever to me. Your thoughts, Jen?
Well, can I have a sip?
Jen, we're in the middle of reporting the news.
I need to try it first. Pickup truck, sports car, motorcycle, minivan, townhouse, two-story, farmhouse, fixer-upper. What you drive and where you live is different for everyone, so it's important to have insurance that fits your needs and is just right for you. At Shelter Insurance, we understand that, which is why our agents help you design a comprehensive auto, home, and life insurance plan. Insurance that fits just right.
Call Ted McAvoy in Van Buren or Chris Dooley in Fort Smith.
Gray Steel Structures Incorporated is a family-owned business based in Greenwood specializing in steel structures. Owner Will Gray has 20 years' experience doing the job right and making sure you're satisfied with the structure you have a need for. Gray Steel Structures serves both commercial and residential customers. Whatever your need may be, mini storage, RV storage, home workshop, or any metal building need, make Gray Steel Structures your first call. Gray Steel Structures, 252-2783. That's 252-2783.
GraySteelStructuresInc.com. That's Gray with an A.
At Crane Used Cars on 71 South, it's a new year, and Joe Pulliam, dealer-operator, has bigger and better deals for 2023. Like up to $2,023 more for your trade. That's right, up to $2,023 over Black Book. With a great selection of certified pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs, all backed by the Crane Commitment. 100-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. Joe knows customer service with a 5-star rated service before and after the sale. So come see Joe at the Crane Used Car Supercenter, 8200 Highway 71 South, Fort Smith.
Your home for every Razorback football, basketball, and baseball game.
ESPN 95.3.
No more bones and I will tell you no lies.
Welcome back to Halftime with Phil Elson and Matt Jones. Got a question or comment for the guys? Give them a call or send them a text at 877-377-6963. Let's get back to the show with the voice of Arkansas Razorback baseball, Phil Elson, and Razorback football legend Matt Jones.
Well, it's 2 years in a row that the Royals Award winner leaves the job where he had won the award for the same job somewhere else. It was Josh Gaddis leaving Michigan for Miami. This year, it is Garrett Riley leaving TCU for Clemson. Gaddis was just fired by Miami this morning.
Whoa.
Yeah. Josh Gaddis relieved of his duties, a.k.a. fired, after one season by Mario Cristobal. This coming out this morning. I mean, isn't that something? Going from winning the award for being the best assistant coach in college football to going to 1 year at the U where things did not work out well. They had, their offense ranked 86th in the country total offense, and that was down from top 20 last year. Sometimes it's not the coach, is it?
Yeah, I mean, you got to have the players. You got to get the right players. And when we talk about what Coach Sam Pittman's doing here, I think you got to get the players that fit your program. And I know that sounds a little cliche, but if you don't have the right guys in the locker room, Phil, and we talked a little bit about that with Chuck about this basketball team going on a 4-game skid. You don't have the right players in place, man. You can start pointing fingers and you can never get the train back on track. And that's kind of seems what it happens. Miami's just been weird the last few years. I don't know. It's kind of maybe Petrino. I mean, if it just opened up, I think he doesn't like his house in Aggie Land. He might be going down
make
there.
Another trip all the way across the country from Vegas to Fort Worth. Or pardon me, to College Station and then to Miami.
That's the first person I'm calling. I'm like, hey, I know you're ready to move. I know you've been there 3 weeks.
Think of how often people will use the term stupid or moron or idiot when it comes to a coordinator because it doesn't look like he knows what he's doing. It's not like Josh Gaddis forgot how to be an offensive coordinator
right,
from 1 year to the next.
Yeah,
it's you leave one situation, go into another thinking, well, they'll let me open things up a little bit here. And he's now looking for another job at a time where it's kind of tough to find a coordinator job, right? Alabama's got an open position right now.
Ooh. Yeah. Might have a couple better players, too. That offense might look a little better with Bama. Yeah.
Maybe so. And a coach that can coach and not just recruit, because that's been the knock on Cristobal. Oh, the golden hour is approaching. 877-377-6963 to shine your grace on us on halftime.
Back again, Harry Robinson, Salisaw Ford, 1 mile south of exit 308 off of I-40 in Salisaw. Still got a lot of new vehicles coming in. You've got more vehicles now than you ever had before in the new lineup.
Yes, you got to come out here and see us. We've got the New Year, New Me sales event going on right now. Anything a 2020 or older, whatever your models we have out there, 2020 and older, you get an additional $1,500 off of the price of that unit. Hey, and we also have that test drive giveaway going on again. All you have to do is come down and test drive a vehicle. Your name gets entered for a $150 gift card at 21 West End.
Hey, and we've had some winter weather this week, so now's a great time to get over here and really get the best selection here as we head into the weekend.
Yes, definitely. Come down here and save you some money when you buy from Harry Robinson, Salisaw Ford, and get more for your trade. You know, I mean, we're the home of more for your trade, and we want to hold to that. We want to give you more money than any other dealer out there, so come out here and see us. Come and see us for the New Year, New Me sales event.
Harry Robinson, Salisaw Ford, 1 mile south of exit 308 off of I-40 in Salisaw.
Hey, this is Chad Warner, product manager for Booyah Bait Company in Fort Smith, Arkansas. The hottest swim jig on the Arkansas River right now is the Booyah Mobster. It was designed by the Muddy Water Mob, a bunch of river rats from Arkansas and Oklahoma, and it's winning tournaments on Dardanelle and Kerr like clockwork. If you're fishing submerged vegetation, water willow, lily pads, you need a Booyah Mobster to reel them in. Available at lurenet.com and tackle stores throughout Arkansas and Oklahoma, the Booyah Mobster.
Hello, this is Sebastian County Assessor Zach Johnson here to remind everyone to assess your personal property by May 31st to avoid late penalty. You can do this in person at one of our 3 locations, over the phone, or online by going to www.countyservice.net. I'd also like to remind any current homeowners or individuals buying their homes on contract to contact our office and check on your eligibility for the homestead tax credit. Contact us today to see if you qualify.
The homestead tax credit can save you up to $375 off your tax bill.
This ad sponsored by the Sebastian County Assessor.
Watch every Hog game this season at Joe's Grill and Cantina, your home for half-price apps and taps during every Hog game. With TVs all around the restaurant, you'll have a front row seat for all the action. Half-price appetizers like Joe's Sampler Platter, Ballpark Nachos, 10-layer dip, brisket nachos, and Mexican pizza. And ask about Joe's tailgate packages to make your football experience even better in the comfort of your home. Half-price apps and taps for every Hog game at Joe's Grill and Cantina, 3400 South 74th Street, across from Harps.
ESPN Arkansas weather.
For today, it is going to be sunny, breezy, not quite as cool. Our high in the low to mid-50s. Mainly clear sky tonight, and overnight low will drop down to near 35. And then we should see an increase in the cloud cover on Saturday. There is a chance of seeing a few showers, possibly a rumble of thunder, highs in the 50s. I'm Sally Russell with your forecast on ESPN Arkansas.
Tally at the 40, midfield, at the UCF 40, the 30, Tally at the 20, the 10, the 5, touchdown Arkansas!
ESPN 95.3 and hitthatline.com.
I hate everything you just said.
KERX Paris Fort Smith. This is Halftime, coming at you from the Bushlight Studios on ESPN 95.3.
They're hilarious.
Broadcasting on ESPN Arkansas and streaming on hitthatline.com.
We got a good one tonight. You got a team in here that doesn't respect you.
Live from the Bushlight Studios.
Don't ask me if I'm all right. Joaquin said dominate, and we not doing it.
We're going to go get one and celebrate on somebody else's field.
Matt Jones may take it to the house and the dunk.
You said you had very motivational words at halftime.
It's Halftime with Phil Olson and Matt Jones. Produced by Matt Travis.
Hold the rope! Hold the rope! Hold the rope! I'm putting my heart, dog. Let's go, man!
Probably as frustrated as I've been the first half.
Do we believe?
Second half, very happy.
Is vintage Matt Jones.
Hold the rope! Hold the rope! Hold the rope! 1, 2, 3! 1, 2, 3! Turn that down, Drew!
Now, here's Phil Olson and Matt Jones.
You guys look up in the sky, you see that bright, shining sun. You know the color of that sun? Gold. Bright yellow, gold. And let that sun just wash right over you. We're in our last hour of the week on Halftime. And there's time for calls, time for texts. 877-377-6963. AFC, NFC championship games this Sunday. Fired up about it. And again, I don't know if I'm going to be able to watch these games live at all. We got a 4 o'clock women's basketball game against Ole Miss. That's what I've got to, worry about more than anything else on Sunday. And it's that's really the only one thing about calling women's basketball that becomes a bummer is you end up missing some of the great playoff games in the NFL in the month of January. So you got 2 o'clock kickoff in Philadelphia, Niners Eagles, and then 5:30 Bengals Chiefs. So I guess I can watch a little bit of the Niners Eagles, probably maybe the last quarter or so of the Bengals and Chiefs. Should be really entertaining games this weekend. There's no doubt. Did you notice how the line in the AFC game moved?
I
so
saw
heavily?
a little bit of that. Yeah, and
what
I think
were the Bengals favored at? Was it a point?
When it opened, I thought it was 2.5. I saw Cincinnati favored at 2.5. I think that was Monday or Tuesday. Phil, we were talking about. I think with Chuck, and I was like, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't. Or was that one of our callers that calls in? And he when he was talking about fading, he's like, yeah, if you see a line that's not you're not sure about, then you fade. And it's like, I could not believe. I just thought, it's like, how are you giving the home team with Pat? But it was that injury. It has to be that injury, and that has to be the biggest point differential, your quarterback position.
Well, Henny played well in the, one drive that he took them down the field?
Yeah. It's good to have a good backup. Cincinnati has a good backup in Brandon Allen that could give you a drive or give you a 2 that wouldn't mess it up. Philadelphia has a good backup. The kid from Washington State. Purdy is a backup. The best backup for out there is probably the one starting for San Francisco this week. So it's going to be fun, man. I'm really looking forward to it. I love some Devontae Adams in Philly. I think he's the matchup there that San Francisco is going to have to look at stop. And that San Francisco defense, they can stop anybody. I mean, that's a Super Bowl caliber defense. It's going to be fun. I mean, both games, a lot of great players. I think the weather's going to be good at both places, so it should be fun.
Start with the Kelceys could end up being the first brothers to compete against each other in the Super Bowl if you end up with Kansas City versus Philadelphia. Of course, we had brothers coach against each other in the Super Bowl.
Right.
When San Francisco and Baltimore, the Harbaughs, went at each other. Andy Reid is the only one of these coaches who has Zach Taylor took Cincinnati to the Super Bowl, but Reid's the only coach who's won a Super Bowl here. I remember watching Nick Sirianni at his introductory press conference with Philadelphia thinking, this guy looks a little bit weird. But, man, I mean, he actually embodies Philadelphia really well.
Well, and the former Arkansas guy, Tracy Rocker, is a D-line coach there for Philly. He's an All-American from Auburn that coached up there at Arkansas a couple years while I played.
That's Kumar Rocker's father, who was the first-round draft choice for, I guess it was the Mets, and they didn't sign him. And now he's with the Rangers organization. That's right. He was the D-line coach at Arkansas, and Kumar was alive. He lived in Fayetteville at that point.
Yeah.
Bubba gave him baseball lessons.
Right on. Yeah. But just a great dude. Just, because the defense and offense, you're not really necessarily around everybody, but my interaction with him is as far as spending a lot of time with him, just that he was a former player that got it. I mean, there's some of those former players that you're around, man. He's just one of those you wanted to be around. Great personality, great, and maybe so because he wasn't coaching my position. I think he gets after him a little bit, and he's somebody you want. Great coaches. I mean, great players. They want the coach to get on them a little bit. You got to be coachable, and we talk about relationships. So you kind of going for Cincinnati. You got an Arkansas guy in Brandon Allen, and then kind of going for Philly for that reason. But then Dre Greenlaw at San Fran. And it'd be pretty cool how it works out. But I'm going to go with both the home teams this week, Phil. I'm going to take both the home teams, Kansas City and Philadelphia.
And I would love to see San Francisco go for Greenlaw because, Dre's I don't know if I'd say he's like a well-kept secret now because those who watch the NFL on the weekends, they know that
that dude can go.
He's one of the reasons that San Francisco defense is as good as they've been for these last couple of years. But you'd love to get him an opportunity to get into the Super Bowl and really, get a star turn. I don't know if he's not Aaron Donald, who had that opportunity in the Super Bowl last year to really cement his legacy. But Dre's got something really special going on.
He's not a me first guy, Phil. That's why I don't think you hear a lot about him. He's not really like, hey man, look at me. He's a team player. He's a captain of that defense. I mean, he's a guy that when you're drafting, like the NBA All-Star Game, how they're picking players and stuff to get ready. But when you're picking players for that defense, man, that's the first guy you're picking. Like you're not getting too far down the list without picking Dre Greenlaw.
So interesting on Kansas City how it was like, oh man, how they lost too many. They lost too much. They lost too many receivers to continue to have such a high-powered offense. They still had Travis Kelce.
Mm-hmm.
I mean he's really. I mean, Mahomes and Kelce are the key and the ignition that drive the engine for that entire club. Really,
you're so right. He's like a basketball player posting up. He gets in there and uses his body, and then Mahomes is so accurate in his timing that it's a lot of times they throw the ball. It's only one person can catch it. And the other thing that you see Travis do so well, and I think he's a first. I don't know first ballot Hall of Famer, but I think he's a Hall of Famer. I think when you look at the tight ends and what he's been able to do, they win another Super Bowl, no question. But a lot of those times he'll help, and he has to help and chip the end. You got to block a little bit, and once you engage with that guy, he thinks you're blocked, and then he's able to shuck him off. And it's just wide open and turns a lot of third downs to first downs, which can just kill you on the defensive side of the ball, just losing your momentum because you got to get off the field on third downs, and that's one of the things he really excels at.
This potentially was his best season. He scored 12 touchdowns most of his career, makes it 7 years in a row with at least 1,000 yards receiving.
Oh my goodness!
7 years in a row, man. Pretty crazy. On the other side, who do you think Kansas City's got to focus on to stop in order to pick up a victory?
Well, man, Cincinnati's tough. You know, we're going to stay away from the quarterbacks, but I think it starts with Joe Mixon. Their running back they have there, he is a tough downhill runner. He's a one-cut runner. I mean, he hits that hole, and he can, before you know it, he's in that second. He's past the first line of defense, and you're not really catching him from behind. He is a strong, tough running. I mean, if you could build a running back in a lab right now, that's who, him, Christian McCaffrey, those are the two guys out here. But Joe Mixon, man, that dude can go. You got to wrap up. One guy's not tackling him. You got to group tackle him. If you're trying to tackle him with one guy, he's going to drag you forward and break some of those. So when he gets the ball, you can't let him run. If he has 100 yards at this game, then Joe Burrow is going to pick you apart because you can't do both of them. So I think you got to stop Joe Mixon if you're going to be Kansas City wants to win this game.
How about the job John Lynch did? First of all, drafting Brock Purdy. You do get credit for picking Mr. Irrelevant, and then that rookie year, he's one game away from taking you to the Super Bowl. But it's the McCaffrey trade, which really grabbed everybody's attention. And, I mean, you get for all the worries about his ability to stay healthy, he's done that with San Francisco, and he's just been he's always been great when he's healthy, and that's been the case this year. No surprise.
Well, whatever the awards go to Vice President of Ops or GM, whatever his job title is, it goes to him. I mean, since he's got there, San Francisco's just been on a different level. They've definitely been one of the teams in the last few years. Man, they're going to be tough to and who would have thought taking Brock Purdy with the last pick in the draft and he's starting the NFC Championship game with a chance to go to the Super Bowl. But that defense that he's put, Lynch is a defensive guy, and so you can tell, you can see it in that defensive side. You got players that tackle, hit, love the game, and you look at these. I think San Francisco has the best defense out of these four teams left in the playoffs. It's just they got a rookie quarterback, and we'll see what happens.
Do you worry at all about the run game for Kansas City? Because I look at the Niners and the Eagles and Cincinnati as being a little more balanced. I know in this day and age, it's all about the passing game, but do you think Kansas City has a chance to run on Cincinnati?
Yeah, and no, I don't. I don't think Kansas City is going to have a lot of success running the ball. I think a lot of their success comes in spreading you out, and then you're able to get the quarterback out, and and then the running backs just kind of by committee and what they do. Now the Pachero guy, he's a little burner. I mean, he's fast. I'm probably just butchering his last name. But he's a little scat back, and I like and he can catch the ball out of the backfield. So when you look at their running game, they'll do some of that in the screens, and they'll do some of that with that Kelsey. Like, that's kind of an extension where he's able to block, and it's just a 2-yard pass, a little flick, and then you're able to get to second and 4 and second and 3. But I don't. If Kansas City wins this game, it's not going to be on the ground. They just run it enough to keep you honest. But it's going to be Patrick Mahomes. He's going to have 3, 4, 5 touchdown passes if the Chiefs are going to win this game.
Just wanted to check the weather on what's going on here in both Philadelphia and in Kansas City, because this has a little bit to do with the playing conditions. But the thing is, the Niners don't play in snow ever. The Bengals already have done that and play in some really cold weather too. The Eagles, Philadelphia, go figure. That's just always cold there this time of the year, and you get snow as well. I know there was supposed to be a snowstorm around the Rust Belt, around Lake Erie, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Buffalo. But it looks like on Sunday in Philadelphia, it's actually going to be kind of nice, although it's the later game. 53-degree high in Philadelphia on Sunday.
That's football weather right there.
That's great football weather. So often they tell you football weather is snow and 20 degrees. I think great football weather is sun and 58 degrees or 55 degrees.
Phil, you play all day when it's 50 degrees. You're in shape right now. The only thing holding you back is injuries and stuff. But when it's 50 degrees, you hardly break a sweat out there, man. You can play for hours.
23-degree high in Kansas City on Sunday.
That's a little cool. That's a little on the cold side.
Philadelphia is practically beach weather compared to Kansas City for Sunday. So, Yeah, but you got the Bengals coming in. That doesn't faze them at all. Because if they were able to play in that storm in Buffalo last week, they can play in 23 degrees in Kansas City, no problem.
They're going to rename the stadium to Burrowhead if it goes 4-0 against Patty Mahomes. And, when a team's beat you 3 times in a row, there's definitely a little bit different attention to detail. Not that any of these guys need any motivation, but it's the AFC Championship game there, and you've lost 3 in a row to them. I'm telling you, Kansas City's going to be ready. They will be as ready as they have been all year.
Well, as they say, it's not a rivalry until both win. The Brady Manning thing, yeah. I mean, they both beat each other quite a bit, even in the postseason.
Both won Super Bowls, so yep.
Still waiting for Mahomes. Now, Mahomes has the Super Bowl, but that was before Burrow got in the league.
That's right. And in the 2 years that Burrow's been healthy, they've been in that AFC Championship game.
Well, we're going to continue more about the championship games and also get into some college basketball with Neil Atkinson from Bet Saracen, and that's next on Halftime.
Gotta keep those loving good vibrations are happening with her. Gotta keep those loving good vibrations are happening with her. Gotta keep those loving good vibrations.
There's no place in the SEC that does it like this, where the home court advantage is so huge when the fans.
Video is powered by the pros at Pascal Air Plumbing and Electric. Arkansas owned, Arkansas operated. GoPascal.com.
The Fence Man, the company you can trust when it comes to building quality fencing and gates, is looking for quality people to join the Fence Man team. If you are a fence builder or have building or welding experience, apply in person at 1213 North 32nd Street in Fort Smith. The Fence Man offers great pay and a $500 sign-on bonus. Join the top fence building team and get a $500 sign-on bonus. The Fence Man. Apply today in person at 1213 North 32nd Street in Fort Smith. The Fence Man is an equal opportunity employer.
Now that's a dandy white perch. Big old slab. C'est bon, sacalé.
One beautiful crappie.
It's a paper mouse.
Some serious crappie.
Nice speck.
We got crappie.
They might go by different names, but all prefer the same thing. Bobby Garland, America's favorite. White perch, slab, sacalé, paper mouth, crappie, speck, crappie baits.
I call it dinner.
BetOnline remains your number one source for all your sports betting this season. Everything from the NFL and bowl season to esports. You'll find the latest odds, team matchup info, player news, and game trends at BetOnline. BetOnline features live betting, free contests, and live scores for almost any sport or game imaginable. We're the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite leagues and events. Head to betonline.ag to join and receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Make sure to use the promo code BELIEVE to receive your rewards. That's BLEAV. BetOnline, where the game starts.
Ed Sheeran used to sing in the church choir, but now bad habits reveal his desire. The old saying goes, sow a thought, reap an action. Sow an action, reap a habit. Sow a habit, reap a character. Sow a character, reap a destiny. God knows you can't overcome. That's why the faith that saves is trusting what Jesus has already done. There's nothing else you can say or use or do. Bad habits lead to doom. I'm Pastor Heath from Woodland. Think about it.
Hi, I'm Mike Van Jr. with Mike Jr.'s Mobile Wash. You can count on my team to provide top quality pressure washing and exterior cleaning services for your property.
What all do you service?
Fence washing, gutter, or deep concrete cleaning for your home, commercial business, and more.
Do you have insurance?
Absolutely. We're covered with liability insurance, and we also use safe and effective wash methods, leaving your home or business looking brand new.
I guess I need to go to your website, mjmobilewash.com.
Or just give me a call at 479-763-5561.
Mike Jr.'s Mobile Wash. One call cleans it all.
This video is powered by the pros at Pascal Air Plumbing and Electric. Arkansas owned, Arkansas operated. GoPascal.com.
The Fence Man, the company you can trust when it comes to building quality fencing and gates, is looking for quality people to join the Fence Man team. If you are a fence builder or have building or welding experience, apply in person at 1213 North 32nd Street in Fort Smith. The Fence Man offers great pay and a $500 sign-on bonus. Join the top fence building team and get a $500 sign-on bonus. The Fence Man. Apply today in person at 1213 North 32nd Street in Fort Smith. The Fence Man is an equal opportunity employer.
Now that's a dandy white perch. Big old slab.
515 Towson Avenue, Fort Smith, or online, rathauto.com.
Your home for every Razorback football, basketball, and baseball game.
ESPN 95.3.
Hey, Surrey! This is a story about Billy Joe and Bobby Sue. Two young lovers with nothing better to do than sit around the house, get high and watch a tube. And here's what happened when they decided to cut loose. They headed down to old El Paso. That's where they ran into a great big hassle. Billy Joe shot a man while robbing his castle. Bobby Sue took the money and run. Go on, take 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 the money and run. Billy Mack is a detective down in Texas.
Make sure to follow Halftime on Twitter at HitThatLineAR and on Facebook and Instagram at HitThatLine. Now back to Halftime with Phil Elson and Matt Jones.
Bet Saracen is Arkansas's favorite sports betting app. If you want to put a little wager on your favorite sporting event, Bet Saracen is right there on your cell phone. If you got an Apple iPhone, a Google Android, you can get it in their various Play stores. And then remember the Vegas odds. You look at the Vegas odds all the time on national websites, but you can't bet those odds unless you're in Vegas. Arkansas law prevents them from operating in our state. So for the most accurate and up-to-date sports wagering info, have the Bet Saracen app on your phone. Just go to the App Store, download Bet Saracen, or any web browsers, just as easy, betsaracen.com. And joining us from Bet Saracen is Neil Atkinson. Neil, it's been like a month since you and I were able to talk. I was out last week because of travel issues with women's basketball, and I don't know if I could use the term travel issues with you because you were on a ship for 2 weeks. So how was that trip?
Oh, it was good. Except for Montezuma's revenge, it was all great.
Oh, they told you to not drink the water, but okay, I get it. So when I'm looking through here at...
You know how it goes.
I do know how. I think, unfortunately, all of us do. I know. So the line swung really heavily on the AFC game once Mahomes announced that he would play. But I mean, we don't know how fully healthy he really is or what percentage it is. You just have a sense that because it's Mahomes and because it's Kansas City, that the money went on that direction. But when I also look at Bet Saracen right now, Cincinnati's got pretty decent odds for winning a Super Bowl. So I'm not quite sure what to make of this. When you saw Mahomes announce that he was going to play in the game and he'd be okay, what were you thinking about?
Well, let me start with Monday. We came in Monday and everybody was absolutely firing away at Cincinnati on that game. I mean, every bet, it was 9-1 bets coming in on Cincinnati on Monday. And interesting enough, we had the most amount of bets on a Monday for a Sunday game since we've ever started Bet Saracen. Of course, when there's only 2 games to go, but that's overall volume, and people really, really pounced on it. And then when Wednesday came and Mahomes did the full practice and did the press conference afterwards, the line basically flipped automatically. So That's what we saw happen. I expect it to wobble back and forth a little bit, if just basically on how the late money comes in. But that's been the catalyst for the main line movement in that particular game.
Yeah, how much do you think that could have been an overreaction to the Buffalo at home was everybody was kind of picking Buffalo as Super Bowl favorites before that game. Do you think any of that was just overreaction to how good Cincinnati looked at Buffalo?
I think whenever you go to Buffalo and you beat them in the snow in a game that was played like that, people are going to go, well, Joe Burrow, it's his time. Mahomes at the time was thought to be injured, and it's the natural thing to do. And I'm not so sure that I wouldn't have done it myself if I was placing a large bet at that time.
How does this weekend compare to other big weekends in sports as far as how much money gets put on? I'd imagine nothing's any bigger than the Super Bowl, but like for a Final Four, for the college football playoff, how does
Right.
NFL Championship Sunday compare to the rest of those big events as far as people putting money on it?
Yeah, well, I can tell you this. Everywhere in the nation, NFL is king during football season. That was not true in Arkansas on Bet Saracen. We had more NCAA football bets during the regular season. Now that that's over with, I can tell you this, on Sunday, we had a record handle for a NFL for NFL week than we did the entire year with just the divisional games last week. And with the early money that has come in and where our liability and where the bets are, we expect that this Sunday will break the record and establish a new record, and then we'll have to wait for the Super Bowl to see if it surpasses. Yes, I mean, people are absolutely excited about these NFL playoffs. I think we've got the four best teams in it, the most interesting matchups. They're really close lines. There's not a heavy favorite like it was in the national championship for college. And there's a lot of prop opportunity out there also. That's the games. So
that's the next thing I wanted to ask you. With the Super Bowl, it's notorious for the prop bets and all the little things you can do. What are some of the interesting and cool prop bets you have for the NFC and AFC championships this week?
Well, because we create a lot of our own content, and so we just don't have the cookie cutter feeds from the data provider.
Right.
We specialize in doing the extra content. So you're going to have the regular feed props under the main bet, but I want all of my people on Bet Saracen to check out the special tabs because we've gone the extra mile on that tab. One of the ones that we're proud of is the player pick boosted parlay. That's where all of the ones that follow us on Twitter and participate in our polls, they pick the matchups that we put in that parlay, and then we price it. So the player picks parlay are some fun bets to do there that you have there. But if you go under the NFL specials, we have the conference weekend, we have the championship, highest scoring teams, the lowest scoring teams, combined points. The other thing that we wanted to do is, because a lot of people kind of overlook defensive props and special teams props. So we actually did an extra section on that. And you can look at the ones that we're offering there and do your research and decide whether or not that you want to put a little money down on them.
I like the special that I saw here. You didn't call it the tight end special, but you might as well. Kittle, Goddard, Kelsey, and Hurst all to score a touchdown on Sunday.
Ooh.
And the money line is plus 6,000 on that. I mean, I guess there's some wild cards as far as that concerned, but I feel like it's almost a guarantee that Kittle and Kelsey will get in. But I kind of like that one too.
Yeah, that's a great one, and that's the beauty of props. You're not supposed to hit the high level props, but when you do, it is a sweet payday. And if I was composing a tight end prop, that's the way I would compose it. So we did all the work for you, so you don't have to put them all together, and then we bundle them, so you don't have to worry about correlated bets and all that. So yeah, we just basically wanted to put out a menu because unlike a typical Sunday, there's not 12, 14 games. There's only 2 games on Sunday, and they're for a trip to the Super Bowl. So they're always highly competitive, fun to watch, and anything can happen.
We'll get into the basketball game tomorrow in a moment. Didn't somebody like this past week hit some kind of crazy parlay on Bet Saracen and won.
Yeah.
I don't remember the exact number, but it was in the tens of thousands of dollars.
Oh, they placed $100,000 two-team money line parlay. They didn't mess with the point spreads. They picked Kansas City money line and San Francisco money line. They bet $100,000 to return 93. So the payout for that bet, if you return the stake, was $193,000. Just the week before, they hit a three-team money line parlay that they bet $75,000 on, and they won $42,000 on that, and they just turned around and rebet it for that $100,000 parlay, and they did win it. And from a bookmaker's perspective, I didn't mind it because it really did balance my Dallas Cowboys liability. Because as we know in Arkansas, the fan base for the Dallas Cowboys is very, very loyal. They do not like to bet against their team, and so we didn't mind taking that bigger bet because it helped balance our liability. But the public was on the Dallas Cowboys on that game here in Arkansas.
So we know you guys do the Arkansas specials whenever it comes to game day, whether it's football, whether it's a basketball game. There's always some kind of really fun and neat Arkansas specials to look at for tomorrow. Is there? Can you let us know one of them that'll debut tomorrow? You already have the betting line out. You got Arkansas 3.5 point underdog in this ball game, but I haven't found the Arkansas specials yet. I just know they're coming.
Yeah, they will be coming. They will be coming later today and tomorrow. We have to be very careful about putting out those specials because they are player props, and we have to have the most up to date information. And depending on what time of the day that the game is when we'll release those specials. Tomorrow being a 3 p.m. tip off for Arkansas and Baylor, we probably will not have the specials out until the morning. And we check the wires, and we're comfortable with putting those out. But I always try to have it out by noon the day before for a Saturday game. And I predicted it was going to be 3.5 Baylor and 178. The national feed came out and was almost exactly what I said, minus 3.5 and 147 over and under on that particular game at Baylor tomorrow.
3.5. Yeah. See, I thought it would be closer to 7, but it's this is you probably know better than I do. I don't know if I'd take the. I mean, if I was getting 7 or 8, I might take the Hogs. That Baylor team's tough. I do want to ask you back to the NFL. Who is the most money come in for futures to win the Super Bowl out of these 4 teams left?
Well, it is now the Cincinnati Bengals.
Cincinnati's
it was the Eagles. Yeah, it was the Eagles and the Bills. For most of the season, but all of the money is coming in on the Cincinnati Bengals right now to win the Super Bowl. And look, if you look to win the Super Bowl, Philadelphia is plus 250, Kansas City is plus 260, and Cincinnati you're getting a little bit more on your money at plus 275, and of course San Francisco is at plus 325. So, I mean, I've seen years where these, or these AFC championship matchups, you have a clear favorite. And this one is probably one of the most balanced ones that I've seen in the last couple of years.
How early, once these games are over on Sunday, do you get the first Super Bowl line out?
That is the mad dash. As soon as the game is over with, there will be pen to paper. There will be a scramble. Every sportsbook in the nation wants to put out the first line on the Super Bowl so they can hit all of the wires. So we're aiming to have it up as soon as possible. If the outcome of the game and there's no significant injuries of the late game is decided, it looks like we'll be quicker to get that one out than not. So it all depends on what happens and if there's any injuries and the scenarios that unfold on Sunday. So we've got an idea of where they would be. We've got a projection on all the different matchups that can happen, and we'll put that out within minutes of the game, if not sooner, if the late game is a no contest.
So I got to ask,
which I don't expect it to be.
I love going.
I expect it to go down to the wire.
Neil, when I go on the app, and you talk about the specials button, it's right there next to football, next to basketball, next to hockey, and when you keep going down the list, when you drag that top bar to the left, you see a lot of other sports that are coming up. and I just kind of wonder, how do you set lines for cricket and for rugby? I mean, sports that aren't happening in the United States, and I don't know what kind of a fan base there is for it. You wouldn't put them on the app if people weren't utilizing that. But I mean, how do you decide? How do you set the odds for cricket?
Well, I cheat. I use a feed. I use a service, and since cricket is not the number one bet sport in the U.S. And not a lot of action, there's lower betting limits on those types of matches. And we basically subscribe to a feed service on that. And those types, honestly, are on autopilot with whatever the consensus is within the worldwide books and that. Now, our data provider has agreements with the leagues for official data, so we have high confidence in that. The reason why we tinker with football and basketball is because our book is in Arkansas, and those games have the local interest. So we will manage those and deviate from the feed based on, our knowledge, trends, and where the money's coming in on our particular site. So, whenever you have a matchup, the home team there is always a local bias, and sometimes we have to adjust for that. So that's why we follow it. And if we don't agree with the consensus, we'll go off of it, but we won't go too far off of it. But, like all of the other sports, it's a feed, and those are pretty good, unless we have a big bettor, and then we'll start paying more attention to it.
You take the India team for the cricket. Whoever's from India is who you take whenever.
It's probably really good advice.
Yeah.
But these let
me tell you, we have some bettors that do bet the cricket in the Indian League,
right?
And they hit the hit sheet because those games are played overnight most of the time, and we'll wake up into the morning like, what happened last night? And we see a couple of our players were betting the cricket.
That's awesome. That's cool.
Yeah. Now, another one I don't want to forget, we've got finals for the Australian Open this weekend, too. So there's a full menu on that. It's minus 500 for, I don't want to butcher his name, but that one may be more interesting to bet in play than it is pre-match.
All right, sounds good. Neil, we'll leave it there. Appreciate you hopping back on with us. Good to talk to you again. Thank you.
All right, everybody have a safe weekend and bet with your head and not over.
Thanks, Neil.
Very good. I was going to say to him, good luck, but no, we want our listeners to have good luck. So, I guess bad luck to Neil, right? It's just not the nicest thing in the world to say. Hey, when the Hogs and Baylor Bears get on the court tomorrow at 3:00, get over to Joe's Grilling Cantina in Fort Smith. They're going to have half-price apps and half-price taps during the game. They do that anytime Arkansas plays any event, and they got it on television. Half-price apps and half-price taps and half-price beers as well during the game. Joe's Grilling Cantina. You can watch sports and enjoy yourself.
Video is powered by the pros at Pascal Air Plumbing and Electric. Arkansas owned, Arkansas operated. GoPascal.com.
The Fence Man, the company you can trust when it comes to building quality fencing and gates, is looking for quality people to join the Fence Man team. If you are a fence builder or have building or welding experience, apply in person at 1213 North 32nd Street in Fort Smith. The Fence Man offers great pay and a $500 sign-on bonus. Join the top fence building team and get a $500 sign-on bonus. The Fence Man. Apply today in person at 1213 North 32nd Street in Fort Smith. The Fence Man is an equal opportunity employer.
Now that's a dandy white perch. Big old slab. C'est bon, sacalé.
One beautiful crappie.
It's a paper mouse.
Some serious crappie. Nice speck.
We got crappie.
They might go by different names, but all prefer the same thing. Bobby Garland, America's favorite. White perch, slab, sockeye, papermouth, crappie, speck, crappie baits.
I call it dinner.
BetOnline remains your number one source for all your sports betting this season. Everything from the NFL and bowl season to esports. You'll find the latest odds, team matchup info, player news, and game trends at BetOnline. BetOnline features live betting, free contests, and live scores for almost any sport or game imaginable. We're the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite leagues and events. Head to betonline.ag to join and receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Make sure to use the promo code BELIEVE to receive your rewards. That's BLEAV. Bet Online, where the game starts.
Ed Sheeran used to sing in the church choir, but now bad habits reveal his desire. The old saying goes, sow a thought, reap an action. Sow an action, reap a habit. Sow a habit, reap a character. Sow a character, reap a destiny. God knows you can't overcome. That's why the faith that saves is trusting what Jesus has already done. There's nothing else you can say or use or do. Bad habits lead to doom. I'm Pastor Heath from Woodland. Think about it.
Hi, I'm Mike Van Jr. with Mike Jr.'s Mobile Wash. You can count on my team to provide top quality pressure washing and exterior cleaning services for your property.
What all do you service?
Fence washing, gutter, or deep concrete cleaning for your home, commercial business, and more.
Do you have insurance?
Absolutely. We're covered with liability insurance, and we also use safe and effective wash methods, leaving your home or business looking brand new.
I guess I need to go to your website, mjmobilewash.com.
Or just give me a call at 479-763-5561.
Mike Jr.'s Mobile Wash. One call cleans it all.
This video is powered by the pros at Pascal Air Plumbing and Electric. Arkansas owned, Arkansas operated. GoPascal.com.
The Fence Man, the company you can trust when it comes to building quality fencing and gates, is looking for quality people to join the Fence Man team. If you are a fence builder or have building or welding experience, apply in person at 1213 North 32nd Street in Fort Smith. The Fence Man offers great pay and a $500 sign-on bonus. Join the top fence building team and get a $500 sign-on bonus. The Fence Man. Apply today in person at 1213 North 32nd Street in Fort Smith. The Fence Man is an equal opportunity employer.
Now that's a dandy white perch. Big old slab. C'est bon, sacalé.
One beautiful crappie.
It's a paper mouse.
Some serious crappie. Nice speck.
We got crappie.
They might go by different names, but all prefer the same thing. Bobby Garland, America's favorite. White perch, slab, sockeye, papermouth, crappie, speck, crappie baits.
I call it dinner.
BetOnline remains your number one source for all your sports betting this season. Everything from the NFL and bowl season to esports. You'll find the latest odds, team matchup info, player news, and game trends at BetOnline. BetOnline features live betting, free...
Touching the promised land. Well, I taste tears and the precious years wasted. Saying, Lord, please send us a helping hand. On the mountain stands a woman. Hey, I feel her shining light. Love must be the answer. Thank you, Lord, and keep her all right.
You're listening to Halftime with Phil Elson and Matt Jones. Want to jump in the conversation? Call or text into Halftime at 877-377-6963. Now, here's Phil Elson and Matt Jones.
This isn't really good to see. Tua Tagovailoa is still in concussion protocol. It's been a month. It's been a month since he had to enter that protocol, and he's going to miss the Pro Bowl games. Pro Bowl games, not an actual game. They're not playing a real game. Well, it wasn't a real game anyway, but they're not even going to try to make it some sort of a 4-quarter game or something like that. That's rough to hear about Tua, because it just reminds me of Sidney Crosby.
Sid the Kid, yeah.
It was nearly like, I don't think he missed an entire season because of a concussion, but it was pretty close to an entire season that he missed because he was stuck in concussion protocol. I mean, this is the thing that makes the concussion different than any other kind of injury. You never know how long it's going to last. And I don't, it's like one hard hit or one hit that's just a little bit not quite as hard, it doesn't make a difference necessarily. Concussions are so difficult to figure out, and your heart's got to go out to Tua because he just had this great year, which has been marred by two I think it's 2 concussions, and now one that's taking him more than a month to be able to recover from.
It's a bad. I mean, concussions are we kind of know they're part of the game, and it's one of those things that whenever you have one, just exponentially you're more likely to have another one. That's just how it works. I know I had a couple, and everybody that plays, it's just part of it. But back when I played, it was kind of like it's kind of what they try to do now. I mean, they kind of just say go rest a little bit, and then hopefully you can come back. But it is serious. It should be taken serious. And the kid, he might not be able to. I was the first one he had last year, and they put him back in. You couldn't. I mean, come on now. We all know that was a mistake, and the NFL sits there and preach player safety and all this, and then the next thing you know, it's all about win. It's not. They were all about because he gave them the best chance to win the game.
Jeremiah in Cedarville texted that Dale Earnhardt Jr. quit racing because of concussions. So it did sort of
a lot of quarterbacks in the 90s. That's how they kind of Troy Aikman. They just kept having Steve Young, just concussion. They had to Kurt Warner. You get popped so many times, and I guess Peyton wasn't, but his was his neck head area that he had. I mean, it's the nature of the game. That's why they do try to protect him anytime they see helmet or hand contact to the head. They are kind of quick to throw those flags.
Well, it's also like being tackled below the knees. You just have a lot less room, to be able to hit a quarterback than before. But I mean, there's seem to be pretty easy reasons to figure out why. But this year in the NFL, I mean, it was difficult to figure out what was going to be roughing the passer. It just seemed at times just making
very inconsistent,
just tackling and just bringing him to the ground. Man, it just felt like you could get a flag for it. Heck, you saw it in one of the playoff games last weekend. I think in the Giants-Eagles game. Anyway, I wanted to mention it was like a prime example last night, the women's basketball game, of a missed call by an official that led to an open three, the winning shot by Alabama, but that's not the reason Arkansas lost last night. 69 to 66.
Phil, I was watching. I tuned in a little bit, and I love Coach Neighbors' offense, so I like watching him play. But I did see that last play. That girl was wide open. I mean, yeah.
She was wide open because Jada Rice set a screen with her feet like 10 feet apart. She stuck her knee out and basically like threw a knee into Samara Spencer. That's how Hannah Barber got so wide open. But, you can always point to something that happens on the last play of the game and say that's why you lost. But, I mean, Arkansas can't win a game when you commit 20 turnovers. When you go 10 minutes without scoring a point and get outshot 50% to 37%. That's why Arkansas lost last night, because they were just a little bit sloppy with the basketball in ways that they usually are not. For a Mike Neighbors Razorback team to commit 20 turnovers in a game would be like us doing a radio show and not talking for 3 hours, just sitting here with dead air. Like, it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. And Alabama deserves some of the credit because they had very busy hands and they made it difficult for Arkansas to get the ball into the post or even set their offense up at times. So Alabama is one of the reasons why Arkansas committed the 20 turnovers, but they were a little sloppy offensively in ways that felt surprising. Just trouble setting the offense up at times. So, that was one of the things I thought talking about the men's team earlier today. It's like, well, you talk about, well, now we can go on a run because we got this, portion of our schedule behind us and all of that. You expect that it can happen because you're so used to it. It's never a guarantee. And I'm not saying that the women's team looked past Alabama. I don't think they did. They just didn't play their best game. And that went along with, getting drubbed by South Carolina and playing really well, but still losing against LSU. So now you get Ole Miss on Sunday, and gosh, that's an awfully big game because a loss to Alabama means that Bama now gets a tiebreaker when it comes to the SEC tournament. And the other aspect, too, is the last bracketology I saw for women's basketball, Charlie Cream had Arkansas as an 8 seed, which to me means right now there ain't no guarantees that they're a tournament team, There's no guarantee about it. The SEC is a little bit down this year. And as far as it looks for Cream, like I think he's only expecting that there's going to be maybe 4 or 5 teams that make it from the Southeastern Conference. So there is no guarantee. None at all. I do have a guarantee for you. We're going to wrap halftime up for the week right after this.
Can't be late. I leave in plenty of time, shaking hands with the clock. I can't stop. I'm on a roll and I'm ready to rock. Oh, I'm in a hurry to get things done. Oh, I rush until life's no fun. All I really gotta do is live and die, but I'm in a hurry and don't know why.
It's the New Year, New Me sales event at Harry Robinson, Salisaw Ford, 1 mile south of exit 308 off of I-40 in Salisaw. Troy, here, what are you doing? Now, if it's a 2020 or older, an extra $1,500?
Yes, if it is a 2020 or older, come down here and see us. You get an additional $1,500 off of the price of that vehicle. And then we also have the test drive giveaway going on. So if you come down here and test drive a vehicle, you do not have to buy anything. All you have to do is test drive something. You get your name entered for a $150 gift card to 21 West End.
This is a great time to buy. You've got a lot of 22s and 23s from Ford arriving, so now's a great time to save big on a pre-owned with an extra $1,500.
Yes, definitely. You know, the New Year, New Me. If you're driving an 18 model, come down here and get you a newer vehicle, a 2020 or older, and save yourself an additional $1,500.
All right, so get the $1,500 discount. Just come out and check it out. Harry Robinson, Salisaw Ford, 1 mile south of exit 308 off of I-40 in Salisaw, and online at harryrobinson.com.
Hi, this is Ricky Smith, head basketball coach for the Northside Lady Bears. I dial 782-8940. That's 782-8940.
This is Northside head basketball coach Eric Burnett. I call 782-8940. That's 782-8940.
Take advantage of York Factory rebates on high-efficiency HVAC products.
782-8940.
A new year means it's time for new work boots, work shoes, safety shoes, casual shoes, fishing shoes, hiking boots, and cowboy boots. Gelco Outdoors has the largest selection and the best brands ready to make your feet feel happy in the new year. Crappie fishermen, Gelco is stocking up for the spring season. Come check out the gear. 50% off clothing on the clearance rack loaded with New Year savings. Gelco Outdoors, your store for work and the great outdoors. 4600 South Zero in Fort Smith.
This is Bruce Stanton, Vice President and General Manager of Pradco Fishing in Fort Smith. If you're going to do some cold water bass fishing, you need to be using a Umbrella Flash Mob Jr. It's the best lure for duplicating a small school of shad and can be worked from the top of the water column to the bottom. Whether you're trying to win a bass tournament or whoop up on a bunch of white bass and stripers, the Umbrella Flash Mob Jr. will catch them. Available at Walmart, Bass Pro Shops Academy, LureNet.com, and tackle stores all over the place, the Umbrella Flash Mob Jr.
Harry Robinson Buick GMC wants to buy your vehicle, and they'll pay top dollar today. Pre-owned car values are at an all-time high, and your car is worth more today than it ever will be again. If you are driving a 2013 model or newer with 120,000 miles or less, bring it to Harry Robinson Buick GMC, and they will pay you more for your trade. Even if you don't want to buy a new car, they will still buy yours. Harry Robinson Buick GMC, exit 11 off of I-540 in Fort Smith.
Watch some of the world's best track and field athletes compete right here in the track capital of the world as the Razorback Track and Field program chases an unprecedented 48th national title inside the world's fastest indoor track facility, the Tyson Indoor Track Center in Fayetteville. Join us on January 27th and 28th for the Razorback Invitational as the Hogs host some of the best track programs in the nation. Kids receive free admission at every meet. Join the chase at ArkansasRazorbacks.com.
Art's Barbecue and Burgers has the best burger in town. And every Saturday, enjoy any burger at Art's and get $1 off. Try Art's Bacon Cheeseburger, topped with house-smoked bacon, or the Art Attack with bacon, ham, and a fried egg. And all of Art's burgers come with a mound of fresh-cut fries, or upgrade to Art's homemade onion rings. $1 off all burgers every Saturday at Art's Barbecue and Burgers, 8203 Rogers Avenue, next to Aaron's in Fort Smith.
Your home for every Razorback football, basketball, and baseball game.
ESPN 95.3.
Hey, Surrey!
It's a big job just getting by with 9 kids and a wife. But I've been working, man, dang near all my life, and I'll keep on working long as my 2 hands are fit to use. I'll drink my beer in a tavern, sing a little bit of these working man blues.
Welcome back to Halftime with Phil Elson and Matt Jones. Got a question or comment for the guys? Give them a call or send them a text at 877-377-6963. Let's get back to the show with the voice of Arkansas Razorback baseball, Phil Elson, and Razorback football legend Matt Jones.
Well, I tell you, after waking up at 4:45 yesterday morning and then doing the show, getting to Fayetteville, doing the game, getting back home, it's 5 hours of driving, and then waking up again at 7 o'clock to prep for today's show, I feel like I'm like ready to fall asleep in the middle of this segment here, but I'll make it through the rest of the day.
Dude, you crushed it today, man. It was a fun show. I know you're a little tired. I know, but that's why you get the big bucks, though, Phil.
You ever show up for a game, Matt, and you're like, you know what? I'm exhausted. I'm absolutely dead tired today, and you go on and put on, one of these amazing games.
Well, those preseason games when you're in camp, and then all of a sudden you got a game, you're like, bro, my legs. We just had 2-a-days the last week. What are we doing? A game, yeah. You're like, oh my goodness.
You're like Ferris Bueller, faking being sick before school.
The thing, those preseason games though, is kind of like what you were talking about with the baseball game, where you got your pitcher, he's only playing an inning or 2 or whatever. So it's kind of like that. But yeah, you're like Ferris Bueller, set it up.
To be honest, like baseball spring training sounds a little bit like torture.
Yeah,
especially for like the minor leaguers.
Yeah,
because they don't have the money that they can spend on great apartments and everything. They're basically like 4 to a bedroom in some cases.
Yeah, roommates. Yeah,
and they're there for like 6 weeks. I think it feels a lot like Groundhog Day. That had to be what training camp felt like.
It's like camp because you go away, you go to some other. Jacksonville, we had camp there, but you're staying with in a hotel and you have a roommate. And in Cincinnati, you go away to a whole different place, and you kind of living in dorm rooms for a few weeks, and you're away from everything. But yeah, it's exhausting. Definitely just being around dudes for 47 straight days, it's just like, golly.
That's what the Steelers do too. They have they've had training camp at St. Vincent College in Latrobe for years.
Yeah,
and that's a small school. So I mean, you get the entire Steelers living in dorms at this tiny little Catholic college. It's kind of fun to go see that setup. All right, we're at the end of it. We got the Eastside Liquor Halftime podcast coming out soon. Ruskin and Zach ready to entertain you from 2 until 7. And then we get to recap the weekend on Monday. Hopefully an Arkansas win over Baylor. And, of course, have the NFL championship games. And we'll get you set for the Super Bowl, and it should be a lot of fun. Matt Jones, Matt Travis, have a great weekend, you guys. Appreciate all you do here on the show and everything else. And for those guys, I'm Phil. To you, have a great weekend. Get up, get out, and get better.